Good morning, my fellow Tottenham fans, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boys Dave and Jack for Match Day Live as Tottenham take on Burnley at home. And a big weekend for the club. We need to get back to winning ways today after 4 defeats on the bounce. Heavy defeats, by the way. Women are in action also tomorrow in their cup final, and then the under-21s are live tomorrow night on Spurs Play in their last 8. Hopefully they can win that and get into the semi-finals of the playoffs to win the league. It's absolutely ridiculous that. But look, it is really sunny here, and your boy cannot wait for the winter to come back around already. But we are joined by, of course, Jack, Soren, and Jose. Jack, how are you, my man?
Great intro, Dave. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. You kind of gave us a lot of reasons to maybe Spurs could make our weekend instead of ruining it like they have the last 4 weeks or so. The women, of course, could pick up a trophy. Your under 21s as well, can advance further in their own competition. And then Spurs have the rare chance to win instead of be on the back end of another drubbing. So, yeah, Dave, let's hope that we can have our weekends made 3 times over.
I really do hope so. It makes a change from the doom and gloom over the last while. Make our way down to Jose. Jose, how are you, sir?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Looking forward to today's game like I always do every time we play. Yeah, let's see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No, good to have you back, my man. What was the breakfast of choice just before we went live?
I've had a couple of bananas this morning, that's it.
Oh, fair play. I had a ham and cheese toasty, so you're doing better than I am. Soren, how are you, my man?
Thank you. Good. Really ready for today's match. We're gonna win. Let's not think of anything else. It's a win-win today. Full stop.
Has to be a win. It can't be anything else. I mean, if it is, I dread to fear, the reaction after the game. But look, let's welcome a few people in and let's crack on. We've got DYT2, big yourself up. Really appreciate support. Says Yokohama F Marinos are losing the Asian Champions League final. How could Ange let this happen? I think that's the team he managed. That is the team he managed before he went to Celtic. William Webb says, looking forward to the win. In Ange we trust. Back the boss people. We also definitely agree with that, by the way, William. Paul Connor, good to see you more than all. Big up, Dave and Jack. Come on, you Spurs. Let's have a convincing win. Want to see a rugby score, hopefully with a clean sheet. I mean, I'd absolutely love a clean sheet today, to be brutally honest. It's been long overdue, Paul. We'll have a conversation about that. Surely we can expect one today. Paddy Harnett, good to see you all the way from sunny Costa del Limerick up to Spurs. I mean, even sunshine wouldn't brighten up that place, to be brutally honest with you, Paddy. Sorry to tell you.
It must be hot, Dave, that you guys are speaking Spanish now at this stage, or, turning some of these islands, in Ireland into Spanish ones.
That's what the weather does to you, Jack. It starts making you speak Spanish, French, Italian and stuff like that. We're not used to it. It disorientates us Irish people. We also have Dave H, 1960. Good morning, Dave and Jack. Big up all in the chat. Come on, you Spurs. Let's get 3 points today. We also got Moondog in the house. Good to see you. Good morning, lads. 4-1 to us. I need a pick-me-up. I mean, things got that bad. Moondog had to go to Turkey to get away from things, go on holiday and stuff like that. But good to see you back, Moondog. I presume he's got a new hairline and new teeth and everything else. So hopefully you enjoyed yourself out there, Moondog. Jack, anything you want to say to Moondog?
No, I mean, Turkey has it all. Has the food, has, the healthcare, like you mentioned there as well, that, you can make yourself, feel good as well. But also terrific football. I think they're one of the most obsessed, football nations as well, across this globe, across this rock of ours. But I'm looking forward to a 4-1 win, Dave. I would take Paul Connors, but that felt a bit greedy, Moondog, what Paul Connor was going for, asking for a clean sheet with this Spurs team. Just seems, like too much to ask at this point in time. But we are so capable of scoring plenty of goals. It just requires somebody to have the wherewithal to maybe just decide to put it in the back of the net, because we are creating great chances. And maybe in front of the home crowd today, a 4-1, very possible.
No, big up, Moondog. I heard you robbed Endon Bella's beanie while you were out there as well. I already started chasing you to the airport. Big up, Moondog. We also have Spurs TV. Loving the vids, mate. I'm going. Big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate it. What are you going to? The women's game, today's game, the under-21 game? Do let me know, lad. We've got Scotty Hynam, as always. Good to see you, sir. Jack Bloom. Come on, you Spurs. Got a low fade haircut, and I want to be happy on the weekend. Yeah, look, I've got a fade. I get a fade myself, my man. So great minds think alike is now what to say. Big up, Jack Bloom. Spurs GCTV, good morning. You fine gents. Let's see a dominant performance today and a great result. Let's go. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, that's the aim today, right? Let's see whether it happens or not. Good morning, Dermotron. Hopefully you're keeping well. He says, big up, guys. Spurs can turn it around for what I've been told. The summer looks amazing, and we will be in a good place in Ange, we trust. Big up, Dermotron. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Good to see you in the house. We also have Rooty Toot, big up all. Come on, you Spurs lot. If we can beat Burnley, if we can't beat Burnley, I know. I don't even want to think about the possibility, to be brutally honest. Cozy, big up, gents. Good to see you in the house. Stevie D, as always, good to see you, my man. My nemesis, of course. We've got Rick in Brighton. It used to be Rick in Rio, but he's in Brighton now. Big up, lads, and chat. Good to see you, Rick. Hopefully you're keeping well. We also have Yogi Bear. Can we all pray that Man United destroy Arsenal tomorrow? Well, your boys will be doing a hate-along over on the T4 platform, which will explain more towards the end of the show. We need your support. You support us, Arsenal lose the title tomorrow. Sean Johnson will score at least 4 today. Come on, you Spurs. Good to see you. John Cullingman, please, Spurs. Turn the F up. Come on. Good to see you in the house as well, Kerry King. Hopefully you're keeping well. Let's have a positive one today, please. Paddy Harnett gets back, says, go away with your big Kildare, home of the sheep shagger farmer. Head on you. Look, we're also the home of the Defence Force, the place you'll be coming crying to if anything ever happens. So, respect, I would say there, Paddy. Dr. Johnny says, it's raining here in Sydney. Why isn't Ange doing anything about it? Big Pants, good to see you. On your bike, Scott, great to see you as well. I think everyone must have had extra sugar in their tea or coffee this morning. Everyone seems to be in a great mood, which is good to see. We've got Brian Dempsey. Good morning, sir. How are you? Says, good morning, Dave, Jack, and the panel sitting in work here, but we'll be home to hopefully watch us tank Burnley. This team owes us a big result. Come on, you Spurs. Well, look, we'll use this to sort of kick it off. Big up, Brian Dempsey. Really appreciate it. I mean, guys, Ange did say that the players have not given up on the season off the back of the 4 hidings in a row that we suffered. So what sort of performance can we really expect to see today then? A team that wants to put on a performance for the fans, or a team that is in Cancun sipping on cocktails with umbrellas in it? Can we get the big result that Brian Dempsey is hoping for? We'll head down to you on this one, sir.
The team has got to show some pride in itself today. Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple of games against teams that, that aren't been playing well or ravaged with injuries and things like that, and we still haven't managed to beat them. So there can be no other result other than a win today. If we don't win, and even the performance has got to be there, then these players really do need to hang their head in shame. And if we do not come out with 3 points, a good performance, then they all deserve to go. It's as simple as that, because we're at home. We've got one more home match to go. And, this would have been our last home game, really. So, this is where the players have been shocking over the last few weeks. They have to come out today from the first whistle and absolutely play Burnley off the pitch. Full stop. Yeah. There's no excuses today. There is no excuses today.
Do you know, I couldn't agree more. For me, I want to see a reaction. I actually want to see us, I know it's only going to be a mini high, but win the Sheffield United game and grow a small bit of momentum heading into next season. Because right now we're starting to fade out similarly the way we did under the way we did last season, and I just want to sort of reverse that a little. I mean, Jose, where are you at today? Anything else but a win is unacceptable, surely?
I ain't big in it. We're going to win today. It don't matter. We don't have to dwell and doom, gloom. We will go out and win today. Yeah, we want to do it fancy damn. Yeah, we want to play Ange ball. Yeah, we want to win 10-0. We want all this, but I'm settling for 4-0 today. I'm not going for the double figures. I'm settling
very modest of you, Jose.
Yeah, I'm settling for the 4-0. Look, at the end of the day, we've now been told about injuries. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
We saw Ange's reaction on the touchline. We've seen Ange's comments and that. Ange knows who's going to be here and who ain't going to be here next season. Ange needs to pick a side today to go and win a match. And I'm sure that he will do that like he does in every game. I said in my prediction video, that I think Burnley have got to come out to us, because Burnley need to win both games in order to have a chance, not guaranteed, just a chance of staying up. And so therefore I think the game will be more open for us. And I saw what we did to them away from home. I know they're playing slightly different now, because of circumstance, and they've changed their playing style. But I think they're tailor-made for us today.
Do you know what? I really do hope so. I actually hope that company doesn't go and sit in and hit us on the counter, because, you know, that might become a little bit worrying. I actually hope he sticks to his philosophy and stuff like that, because I actually think it will work in our favour. I just think, off what you said there, Jose, the fact that, you know, Burnley can get relegated, they have to come and win today. Even a draw is not good enough, like you said, and even a win's not guaranteed. I think if you let them score first, you probably give them that belief. If we score first and early, you probably kill it, and it could be the route that maybe we're all expecting. Saying that, though, the forward line have to pull the finger out the hole, so we'll wait and see how that happens. But we'll get into that.
I don't know whether the company's got the faith in his team to sit in and then try and hit us on the counter. I don't know whether he's got the faith in his team and whether he's got the players who've got the wherewithal to do that for a whole. I'm going to say for even for a whole 45 minutes. I'm not sure whether he's got the confidence in his team to actually go and do that. It's not the way they play. So let's wait.
Yeah, look, you know, and the thing is, even if he does set up that way, there's no guarantee that, you know, they've been well versed in it all season and stuff like that. So it could come back to haunt them. You're absolutely spot on there, Jacko. I mean, fair play, by the way, everyone, and give him credit for getting up nice and early over there in New York. But Jacko, where are you at today?
Only thing I can add, really, I thought Jose was absolutely spot on earlier with some of the points he was making. But I felt like, you know, with this game, the reason why I think a lot of us should be confident is Burnley certifiably are the second worst team in the Premier League this season. They weren't given any sort of points deductions or anything like that. They are where they are. And even in the kind of their bigger games, when they have had opportunities, I feel like this season, to maybe make it more competitive, to give themselves more of a fighting chance, they have fallen flat on their face. Even Company has, you know, made, I think, a bit of a, you know, fool of himself at times, you know, like complaining about referees and, you know, things like that, when his team had been pretty terrible, I think, throughout this campaign. And while we have been in a really bad rut, Dave, when you are in a bad rut, like a team like ours, playing the second worst team in the Premier League, even if they are fighting for relegation or fighting to survive relegation, I think, you know, you give yourself a good chance, especially when you are at home. And we beat Luton as well. That was an important game for them just recently. We beat Forest at home as well. That was an important game for them just recently. I think this Burnley team, most of the time, I think the campaign has showed, are worse than those teams that we have beaten at home, you know, a little bit recently. So I think we can get over the line. We should get over the line.
Do you know, I was just thinking now what you're speaking, Jack. I mean, we haven't really beat any of them teams down the bottom convincingly this season either. So, you know, maybe we could fear the worst. Sorry to alert you, Brian Dempsey. Maybe we could fear the worst after all. I was just thinking, I think we conceded against Sheffield United, beat them last minute. You know, Luton we conceded a couple against. So, look, we'll wait and see what happens. But Jack, I definitely think we need to win today, especially with the likes of Newcastle, Chelsea breathing down our necks, Man United, you know, for an outside chance of taking our Europa League spot. Today it has to be 3 points on the board, as well as the one against Sheffield United, because, look, we'll get into what people want to see on Tuesday against Man City in just a moment, but, you know, we need to take them 6 points regardless of where people sit on the City game. But big up Brian Dempsey. Really appreciate the support, brother. Top man. Let me know where you're tuning in from, sir. We've got Chang Ching Song says, come on, you Spurs, Mr. Harris, Mr. Kanicki, Mr. Soren, and Senor Garcia. I presume that's Chang, that's over there on Talk of Ball and Altel Cockerell. Good to see you, sir, and hopefully you are keeping well. Really nice guy, actually. You do see him on Kate's as well. Really nice guy. Big up, Chang, and really appreciate the support, brother. Good to see you. On your bike, Scott, great to see you in the house, my man. Just a harmless spud. Good to see you as well. Hopefully you're keeping well. We also have Ben Kaufman as well, member for 29 months. Big up, Benji boy. Hopefully you're keeping well. So big up, everyone. Season ticket renewed. I am back in the team. They better give me some excitement. Is the renewal date already up, Benji, or is it, you know, there's still a little bit time on it? Look, I said to everybody, go and get your season ticket, regardless of where you are, stance on the owners and stuff like that. Because the reality is, Spurs are becoming more and more popular, and there's more and more people queuing up for it. And, you know, it'll be very hard to get your hands back on it again. So, fair play to you for renewing. And like you said, hopefully we see that, you know, the fans back in Ange. Hopefully we see that replicated from the board. over the course of the summer as well, and really give a good gung-ho in terms of getting players out, players in, and trying to model and structure this squad heading into next season. Big up, Benji. I presume you're going today as well, with it probably being the end of the season. Sort of, I know they're doing all the awards and that after the game today and stuff, which we'll get onto a little bit later on. DB says, I'm all for Ange to stay for another season or so, but we lose today and the fan base will lose it. 100%, 100%. Look, I made a quote at the end of last season when everyone was telling me style of football matters. And I said to people, it doesn't matter. Style of football does not matter. Winning games matters. And I've been proving that by as soon as Ange lose, everyone wants him out. So at least we've established now that it's all about winning games, and that style of play malarkey was absolute nonsense at the back end of last season. Shem Tan says, hey, Jack and Dave and Jose, Celso, and panel. Hope you're all well today. Don't mention that name. I nearly blacked out there. Come on, you Spurs. In the big hands we trust, but not in these players. Big up, Shentan. Great to see you in the building. We'll take a couple more, and then we will crack on. We've got Dark Sun G. Come on, you Spurs. Let's beat Burnley and finish the season in 5th. Oh, look, we need to, Dark Sun G. We really need to beat them today. It'd be an absolute nightmare if Chelsea or Man United or even Newcastle overtook us, considering some of the seasons they've had, the injury crisis and that they've had at times as well and stuff like that, and the points gap that we sort of built up in that regard. I mean, it'd be absolute disaster if they pull it back on us. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Look, 50 is better than what I expected, but I did change my expectations after the good start we got off to. So, but look, I'll take it. Also, just quickly, big up Davy Shire. As always, good to see you, my man. DJ Rampart as well. Great to see you. J-Mac, Jesus, you Spurs fans are out in force today. We've got Min Chi as well. Gabrielle, great to see you. Davy Shire, as always. We also have Chris Loney as well in the house. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Guns, football, and things. Jeez, you guys are out in force today. You're not even giving me a chance to catch up here. Big up Daniel Coys as well. Truth sets you free. Great to see you back around, my man. And then we also have Dark Zone G as well here, Jacko. Also, it's great to keep Ange for a whole season with not changing his formation, because now we know Ange knows where to ship out and where to bring in. Come on, you Spurs. Look, Jack, we'll let everybody have this on this, but we'll start on you this time. I mean, this is something that I have highlighted that I think Andrew's right in doing what he's doing, because I don't think it convolutes the summer transfer plans then.
That's a very good point Dark Sun G makes, because if you change your philosophy, if you change your style too much and your system too much and your shape too much, where it seems undefinable, seems like it's hard to really put a pinpoint on what you're really trying to achieve, kind of with every opponent that you come up against, or what sort of, again, style of play you're going for. And then you need certain players that can perform that to the highest ability. And it feels like Ange has made that very, very clear for us within 6 months practically, but obviously within a whole season, it's given us a much better picture. Whereas if you were in a Ten Hag boat where he was supposed to come in with, Ajax style possession football and everything, and now he's like turned into David Moyes practically, it feels like, after a season and a half in the Premier League, you really are a little confused why you would give him more players or back him more, because what sort of style of play does the guy actually have? What sort of thing does he really actually believe in that he can, perform at a high ability? And at least with Ange, he's stuck by his guns, stuck by what he believes in. And I think we can really applaud him for that. And Dark Sun G, I think he probably deserves a trophy, at least of some kind, for being able to survive a whole season with what I think is the other. We are the Watford. Still 2 games left. We're going too premature, but we are becoming the Watford of the Premier League at this moment in time when it comes to managers. So any manager that can survive a whole season, kudos to them.
I mean, look, let's not tempt that. We've still got a few games left to go. If we lose today, things could change very, very quickly. So let's not tempt that. We finally have a manager in the dugout for a full season with Poch, but we are getting there. But look, I will say, Dark Sun G, this is very controversial, because there's been a lot of arguments that Ange needs to change and adapt. I'm one, I see a lot of people maybe suggesting 3 at the back, and it's been on social media for quite some time. I'm starting to hit back at it a little bit lately, because I'm becoming frustrated. We're asking a manager to put out a formation and a team we haven't trained in and everything else. And then when he does that, then people go, he doesn't know what he's doing, everything else, if it comes out the wrong side of it. So very controversial talking point here, Dark Zone G, which I actually don't mind. But I'm going to do the polite thing and hand it off to Jose. I mean, Jose, is Ange right sticking by all his beliefs this season, despite many fans wanting to see change here and there, or maybe adapting a little towards the opposition we're playing?
Yeah, no, I think if you've got a philosophy and you've got a style of play, all it is to implement it is the tactics you use. And obviously the personnel you introduce to execute your plans. It's quite clear and it's quite evident to anybody that watches the game that we don't have the players to play the philosophy that he has. Also, we have players that possibly can do it, but as Ange says himself, don't have the belief yet to do it all. So, of course, like anything, if you're bringing in a style, philosophy, a way of playing, you're going to want to bring your own people in. And he's only been here a season. We've only had them. I'm only going to call it one transfer window because what you do in the winter doesn't. For me, the main part of the work is what you do in the summer. And I've maintained, and I say it until I'm blue in the face, that the most important period for Tottenham Hotspur's team of Langer and the rest in the backroom staff started the minute the summer transfer window closed last season. That's the time that you're making your plans for this summer, and you start identifying players. You start talking to agents behind the scenes to see whether people are interested or not. So you're not doing any faffing about further on down the line. We've probably I'm not part of Tottenham Hotspur's backroom staff, but we've probably identified about 400 players at least, all for the different positions, because you don't know how the team was going to play and who was going to suit the playing standards and stuff like that. So you've got to, just in case, look at right backs. You've got to look at left backs, centre backs, and all throughout the positions. Now, the positions that Ange feels that we're not there with or that we're failing on, they're the positions that you're going to press your buttons on. So I'm hoping that the team at the back have done their work, and as soon as that summer transfer window starts, I want to see action straight away, but not just incoming. There's a lot of work we need to do with outgoings. In the last 12 months, we've got better at outgoings because we went stale with outgoings for about 6 years. For about 6 years, we couldn't get rid of any of our players. This season, we managed to get rid of some of these last 12 months, and I'm hoping that we do this again in the summer. So for me, you don't change your playing style or your philosophy. Keep that, bring the right players in, get the players on board to believe in what they're doing, and just continue with it.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more there, Jose. I mean, Soren, where are you at with it? Do you think Ange Postecoglou's been right to stick by his beliefs and sort of expose where we really need to act in the transfer market rather than chopping and changing like many wanted him to do?
The thing, you've got to look at it in a couple of ways. If it had changed his style, then he doesn't necessarily find the players that will suit his style. And if he changes his style, before a match, then he's saying that he doesn't necessarily believe in his own philosophy. That said, I do think there have been matches where we should have played slightly different. Whether it's just bring the line back 10 yards, or pack that midfield a little bit better than what it has been. But no, I get why he's stuck to his guns, and if he believes that system and is the thing that we've got to look at is, he said a week or two back that not all the players and not all the training staff and people are on board with him yet. Well, if they're not on board with him yet, he's got to keep drumming it into them that it kind of doesn't matter to him if I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter that we lose, but if they believe in the system, it will come. So to me, yeah, he's got to stick with his system. I mean, one thing I wanted to say just popped into my head a few minutes ago when we were talking about if he loses today, then he could lose his job. It makes me laugh with all the people going on about Ange needs to be sacked and all this lot, and then quote how many managers Levy's had in his tenure. I mean, you're asking for another manager to go, but then you're complaining that we keep sacking our managers. So he's gonna be here next season. I've no doubt about that. Like Jose said, this transfer window is as big a transfer window as Tottenham have had for a long time. we're going to see the intent now. And his first summer transfer window, I think, is kind of negative because he doesn't know what he needs at that point. The winter one, like we say, it's just a fill-in gap. This is the big transfer window. And because he's stuck to his guns, he'll know what players are not going to suit the system or are not going to buy into his system. And that's where I think, him sticking to his guns is a good thing, because he can now go to Daniel Levy and say, look, I've done this all season. This is where we have to be if you want success at this club.
No, 100%. And I think he's spot on to lay down the marker. Look, we moan about having to go into every window, needing 8, 9 sort of players every single summer. We moan about not bringing world-class players in here. But when you're chopping and changing directions every season, heading into the summer on the new manager, that's why we're always in this situation, need 8 or 9, and we don't get world-class players, because we have to make a budget spread. If we stick to a manager, we actually, under the first summer, second transfer window, you get your squad in place. Then coming into next summer transfer window after this one, you're hoping that money doesn't have to stretch as far, and you can start upping the value and the quality of your signings to a degree. So I think we'll be doing well to stick behind Ange and sort of, go into next season behind him and sort of back his philosophy and stuff like that. But big up Dark Sun G, kicking it off in the controversial manner. I really do appreciate it, brother. Really appreciate the support. Just got a couple more people I want to welcome in, and then I'll bring up the graphics for everything you need to know quickly. We've got the Belgian Hotspur. Good to see you. We also have Kev G, the awards for shittest player, most chances, most missed chances, worst attitude. Yeah, look, probably wouldn't surprise me, Kev G. We also got Kim AD Helgeson as well, new YouTube member. Really appreciate the support, and hopefully you enjoy all of the members only content as well. Big up Joseph, good to see you. Hopefully we win today and not Tuesday. Look, we'll get on. We'll ask the guys about Tuesday now. Just 1 minute, Joseph. Find out where they're at with it. Big up George as well. Lee Neri, Phil, Jason Bell, and also Philly as well. Tottenham, he says, big up my brother Dave and Jack, and the season ends. Mine has just begun. What are the club going to do? Keep their Tottenham, put their money where their mouth is. They hired Ange. They made their bed. Look, I think they should put their money where their mouth is. I think they hired Ange in a view of it being longer than one season. I think there was a recognition somewhere inside the club. Look, I could be wrong, but I think there was a recognition somewhere inside the club that they couldn't keep hiring and firing managers and stuff like that. And if they like the tight control finances the way they do, surely that should have been recognized a long time ago. Chopping and changing under manager, you squander a lot of money doing that, Philly. But hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Hopefully you've recovered, and hopefully you're out of the out hospital, brother. We also have Paddy Higgins, member for 24 months. Oh, our second anniversary. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you flat cap army with Paddy, my man. By the way, why did you stop sending me the what you used to do is grab like movie covers and then change them to Tottenham related stuff? Why'd you stop sending me them? I absolutely enjoyed them, Paddy Higgins. But 2 years, really appreciate the support, and salute to you, sir. I mean, look, I'll probably get on better with you than what I did with my missus after 2 years. After 2 years, my missus used to be fed up with me, so I really appreciate it. Paddy
pull out
Higgins,
the candles,
really
pull out the spaghetti, make a Disney movie out of it, Paddy Higgins. I like it, second anniversary time.
Big up, Paddy. And then we also see Tony Rodriguez in there as well. Hopefully you're keeping well. He says, we're going to batter Burnley like we did to Chelsea. I hope so, Tony. A Dark Sun G. Oh, well, we didn't batter Chelsea. We got hammered, and he puts a laugh emojis after. But look, Chelsea, Burnley, 2 different caliber teams, I would say. Dark Sun G says also, did you see Bayern lost to Real Madrid? The Kane curse. I mean, yeah, I'll be honest. I know a lot of people probably my dad wanted Bayern to go through for the likes of Harry Kane. He did mention Dyer, nearly fell off my chair. Said it would be nice for them. But for me, I'll be brutally honest. I don't want to see Tottenham players leave Tottenham and go on and do well, to be brutally honest. So I'm actually happy that they got knocked out. Also delighted for Luka Modric. I love that guy. What a steely old pro that guy is. Great game, though, Dark Sun G. It was a great game. It's just what Madrid do. They're never out of the game, that winning mentality. I'd almost argue they could probably say we never stop, como estás, or whatever that is in Spanish. They could almost have that sort of notion there as well. 2 late goals, but it's what Madrid do every single time. They're just never beaten, my man, and that's why they're as classy as they are. But it was a great game, Dark Sundry. What I will say is I think Tuchel messed up. I think taking off Harry Kane was a huge mistake. He left himself with no out ball, no ability to get up the pitch, and ultimately he changed formation, and that's what came down to Bayern's downfall. You know, they sort of faded out the game, couldn't get the pressure on Madrid they once were. They weren't getting the joy going forward the way they were to a large degree, and it killed them off. So thank you, Thomas Titi Tuchel. Really do appreciate that. I think Conte shook the balls out of that guy, you know, when he had the handshake with him at Chelsea, and he's lost it ever since. So big up to Conte for that one. Just quickly, we'll bring up these because you guys are keeping me behind in the chat today. You're all bad people out there. Tottenham Stadium, of course, is where this game is. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. Referee is Jared Gillet. I think this is the, actually, I think he is Australian, this guy. So hopefully, you know, he does Ange justice today. VAR room, it's Peter Banks. Hopefully, we don't change that B to a W if you catch my drift. And in the TV, in the UK and Ireland, you can watch it in Premier Sports. In the USA on Peacock TV. In Australia, it is on Optus Sports. And I believe in Canada, it's on Fubo TV. So that's everything you need to know in that regard. And injuries, nothing changes for Tottenham. Still the same old. Shower out. Doji, Werner, Davies, Solomon, Forrester, and Sessegnon. And for Burnley, Ramsey, Bayer, and Redmond are also out as well for today. So that's everything you guys need to know. But guys, before we move on to other talking points, I want to know where people are at heading into Tuesday's game as well. I mean, we'll start with you. Who have we not started? We haven't started with Jose today, so we'll start with you, Jose. I mean, what do you want to see happen Tuesday? Is a bit of a split in the camp. Some people want Tottenham to lose to Man City to sort of not let Arsenal win a Premier League title, and other people are saying, no, just concentrate on what Tottenham are doing. Forget about everybody else and the noise around it.
Concentrate on what Tottenham are doing, but Man United will turn up against Arsenal tomorrow. And then that means they will lose. Well, for me, Man City win today, Arsenal lose tomorrow. Man City are then 2 points in front of Arsenal going into our game. We win our game, goes to the final game of the season. Man City are home, they take the title. That's, for me, what I think is going to, what I want to happen. What I will say is people are writing off Man United already. And yeah, they had a poor game against Crystal Palace. But Arsenal have only won there once in the last 16 seasons. So it's not a happy hunting ground. So it doesn't matter whether they've had a good side or not, Arsenal. It's not a happy hunting ground for them. So I think, yeah, I want Tottenham to win every game. I'm not one of these. I just think we take care of ourselves and let the others take care of themselves. I think Manchester City got enough to win the league, even if we win tomorrow.
Oh, look, I'm hoping it works out that way, Jose. I mean, you know me, I always find a way where it can work in our favour. We've got one scenario left. I mean, you're going to need incredible luck of the gods for that scenario to pay out, but we'll wait and see. I mean, Soren, where are you at heading into this City game? And guys, bear with me. I need to set up a desk fan here because I am absolutely melting.
You know what? I am torn. I'm like Jose. I mean, I want to concentrate on us. I think 3 games, 3 wins is the perfect end to the season. But oh boy, would I love to make sure Arsenal can't win the league. I'm hoping they'll do it themselves. But look, I think had we still been playing for Champions League, I think I would be looking at it slightly different and thinking we've got to win all 3. I'm kind of looking at it thinking, well, we've got to win today. We've got to win Sheffield. What will be against Man City. The one question I have got, though, with the stats you put up, I don't know if Jose or Jack knows, is Richie injured today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say I thought I'd heard something, and there's a few comments floating about.
We'll get onto that in just a moment. We'll get onto that in just a moment.
All
right. So, yeah, I think personally, I'd like to see us win all 3 matches and leave it to them down the road to either mess it up themselves or if they go on to win the league. As much as I hate saying things, any positives for them, if they win the league, they deserved it. It's a season, it's a season-long thing, and they've been the best team in the league if they win it. So, big. What can you say? I don't want them to win. It will be a crap season if they do, and we finish 5th. But I'd rather concentrate on ourselves, personally. What do you think, Jack?
Well, I find it funny when people say that Spurs, if they tried, they could win this. I mean, I think, even if we could try against anybody, we'll still probably lose, at this moment in time. Like, I don't think we could ever really, try and, beat Man City at this moment in time, considering our current form. We couldn't try and beat anybody. I'm going to try to happy clap my best today, but, we are in terrible, terrible form. So even if we do try in that game, we could still easily get absolutely smashed. So I'm not really all that concerned about whether even Spurs do play very well. I'm very confident that Man City would still beat us because they have far more to play for. They're a very intimidating team to play against. Last time out, I think Pep kind of did have, Ange's number when it came to that left back position, because he really did, sort of find us out with those, switches of play to Kyle Walker, and really caused us a lot of problems in that game, I remember. And if they do something similar and we don't adjust to it, or if we, of course, don't have a Doji, which we won't, I expect us to really face, again, a lot of problems with that Man City team. So I'm actually really not that worried whether we try or not, to be perfectly honest, whether we do want to throw the game. But Man City, they do love a helping hand, from, the financial, kind of leeways and things like that, to the backing of, certain governments and everything like that. So they do love a helping hand, Man City. Why not give it to them?
Here's what we've got to think of.
Go on.
I was just going to say, what we've got to think of is it's our last home game of the season. And again, as much as a lot of fans will be torn, they'll want to see a good performance from us.
Look, I don't disagree. However, I think secretly the majority of fans probably don't mind losing to City, and I'd hope that, there wouldn't be as much outrage. Look, I'm with Jose. I would rather United take it out of our hands, to be brutally honest. That would be the ideal situation, because I don't ever really want to sit here and say I want Tottenham to lose. However, my season's over. I know I'm going to finish fifth. The only thing I've got left to worry about now is making sure that Arsenal fans cry, and I want to see that happen. So if needs must, look, I wouldn't ask the team to throw the game, but maybe give us 70% rather than 100%. That would be ideal. But big up Hotspur Hippie, good to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. And by the way, can anyone hear my fan through the microphone? Nope,
No.
I'll take that silence as
anybody in the chat, let us know. But yeah, looking good.
I feel good now.
The biggest laugh of it all, Dave, is if we do go out and try to throw it, we won't even realise, because it'll be just a normal game for us, won't it? we won't, performance-wise, we wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, we tried to beat Liverpool. We tried to beat Chelsea. We still got absolutely smashed. So I have full confidence, Man City, unless they just play, again, terribly, it's some sort of curse. But the curse, even, at our home ground, has relied on us having terrific performances. And I don't see that happening in any sort of shape or form, especially at the end of the season. Like, I think we've also been very lucky when we beat them, maybe in sort of middle or kind of beginning kind of sort of periods of the season. It's not always been towards the late end.
Well, guys, just before we get in and talk about Richarlison, look, the club have sort of done the end of season's awards today. They're rolling out the likes of Moussa Dembele at halftime. It seems like they're wrapping up their season in today's game. They usually do it last game of the season, which would have been the Man City game on Tuesday night. However, they decided to do it today. Is that probably an indication that they're not expecting much from the Man City game?
No, because traditionally, your last game of the season traditionally is a weekend game, right? So therefore, there's more fans at the weekend. So you'll see that everybody does their end of seasons at the weekend. We've had to fit a fixture in midweek, which will be an evening game, and therefore they'd rather do it because you're going to get a lot more families and that as well, and a lot more of the supporters on a Saturday game than what you would an evening game. So I just think that everybody, regardless of who you are, you will do it at a weekend game rather than a midweek game. And it just happens this is our last Premiership game on a weekend, and that's why they're doing it now. I don't think it has any bearing whatsoever. It's because we're playing Man City on a Tuesday. It's just that it's an evening game, and you'd rather do it on the weekends. That's my thought behind it.
Fair enough. Soren, would you subscribe to what Joseph's just said there? Think there's merit to it?
I think this will have been planned probably before the postponement of Man City anyway. So this would have been the match penciled in right at the beginning of the season to do any awards and blah, blah, blah. And like Jose said, it's always going to try to be on a weekend game because families and things like that. So yeah, it's not a surprise. I think the fact that Man City was penciled in after it was postponed just made, you know, a controversial talking point. I don't think there's anything in it. Look, I mean, if we win Man City and Arsenal win the league, our players are going to want to get off the pitch anyway, aren't they? So let's be honest, no one's going to want to come back on anyway. But no, I think it's purely down. It'll have been penciled in at the very beginning of the season. That's when we're going to do it because that's our last home game. And obviously, rather than change it, it's just been left as it was.
Yeah, to be fair, that's not even a scenario I even considered, to be fair. And I actually take your point of views on it as well. You know, is it good having fans hanging around midweek, late in the evening and stuff like that after the game? And you look, I take that point of view. Originally, I looked at it, I was like, maybe it's a precursor telling us what to expect against Man City, but I'll definitely take your points on it. But guys, let's get into Richarlison, because there's been a lot of controversy around whether he's fit and available for today or not. Now, Postecoglou did put out his usual injury video on the Friday, and there was no mention of a Richarlison injury. And then the Brazil manager came out, picked the Copa America squad, no Richarlison in it, and cited that Richarlison has a fresh, I think he said, calf injury, and that's why he hasn't been selected. And many people are left wondering what's going on with the Richarlison situation at the minute. Who's lying? Now, there is a possibility that Ange done the video. Tottenham went out, had a bit of a training session, and he's picked up that injury. Or that video was done earlier on in the morning. They had the training session, and Richarlison has picked up that injury. They've notified Brazil, and he's not available. So that's probably, I don't think Ange was lying. I think that's probably the case that played out there to a degree, because the Brazil manager did say he was only let know yesterday that Richarlison wouldn't be available for the Copa America. So, look, potentially his season could be over. So I want to know off Spurs fans, because there's a lot of controversy surrounding Richarlison heading into this season, whether he was going to be good enough, what to expect from him and stuff like that. So I want to know, has he done enough for people in order for him to stay around here next season? What sort of campaign do you think he has had? Has he done better than what maybe many people expected? And look, we'll go to Jack, because I know Jack's going to lay down the case. Yes? And then we'll go around to the other boys and find out where they sit on it.
I think
actually, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jack. Say what you want, actually. I just presume that's what you're going to say.
Well, I kind of want to start with my gripe, actually, with Richarlison, because I think people already know my feelings on him, that I am a big supporter of his. And I think in a lot of cases, you and I have been shown to be right, that he can be actually a very useful and effective player as a target man in the Ange Postecoglou system. And the ball sticks with him, and he's shown to be very effective in the air as well. Of course, he's, frustrated us, but I think he's proven us right. And could he easily scored plenty more goals, and could have easily scored or gotten plenty more assists had Dave, this is going to lead me to my gripe, he just stayed fit. And that was the case last season under Antonio Conte as well, where he just kept picking up these injuries here and there, and they were long-term, short-term, just all over the place, really. And he'd miss, 2 months, miss, a week or two, just kept kind of sort of happening. He never gets really that consistent, real run of games or play. And even when he has had consistent runs of games, we then sort of hear that he was pushing himself through some sort of injury or some sort of thing that he was battling through. And then it gets exacerbated or exaggerated, and he ends up, picking it up again, or, making the injury even worse. And my kind of big gripe with Richarlison, Dave, has been, I think he could have easily contributed more this season had he just stayed fit, but he wasn't fit last season. Is he an injury prone player? I'll throw that back at you. And would you be okay with keeping around? I understand, makes a lot of sense to have 2 strikers, 2 target men to pick from. We're going to be already pursuing another number 9 this season, but can we have, and one of the number 9s who's starting to perhaps show to be a bit injury prone?
Look,
it's been very frustrating.
Look, could Spurs do better than Richarlison up front? Yeah, of course we can. I mean, for my lifetime growing up watching Tottenham, sometimes we even used to have 4 great strikers: Pavlyuchenko, Keane, players of that ilk, Defoe, Canute, Berbatov. We've had Harry Kane, of course, and stuff like that. We've always had great strikers at this football club. So, of course, we can do better than Richarlison. But for large parts of Harry Kane's tenure at Tottenham Hotspur, we only ever had one striker, bar the period where we sort of had Llorente. Having Llorente helped us to a certain degree, because when we didn't have Kane, for instance, Llorente against Man City in the Champions League, what was it, quarter-final, stepping up with a goal there and stuff like that. It shows why there is merit to having two strikers at Tottenham Hotspur all the time. I don't buy this at Tottenham. You can't have two strikers because one's so good. When I've seen four strikers, all very well respected in the game, compete for two spots at Tottenham Hotspur in the past. So I do think we have to get to the point where we have two players for every single position. We've got to get out of this rut that we were in, where we keep repurposing players, and the only reason why we do that is because we clearly haven't done enough in the summer transfer windows or the January transfer windows to not put ourselves in that situation. Now, when it comes down to Richarlison's injuries, look, that's my biggest problem with the guy. Over the course of the 2 seasons he's been here, he hasn't exactly been fit for a lot of it. There's always been issues. There's always something surrounding the guy. However, I think he's done a lot better than what many people expected him to do this season. I'd argue Tottenham this season have looked their best with him up front, which shows we need to get back to having a proper striker at Tottenham Hotspur. Where I'm at with Richarlison personally is I keep him. I bring someone else in this summer better than him, put him up there and lay the gauntlet down to Richarlison. You've got one more season. If it doesn't work out, you don't play so many, you're not available for 75% of the games, you're gone. Now, I get some people would say, but Dave, you might not get as much for him then. I don't care. I really don't care. For me, it's about having a footballing squad, footballing reasons over money. We sold Harry Kane for money. It's gone back to backfire us. And I've always said, prioritize the football over the money. So for me, that's what I would do. I'd keep Richarlison around here for one more year and lay the gauntlet down to him and reassess it at the end of next season. I think jumping to sell him at the start of this season, you're only going to have similar problems that are going to open up next season. You bring in a guy who's not available for whatever reason, you're sitting there going, oh, I wish we would have kept Richie. So for me, I think that's the most logical solution here at Tottenham Hotspur to happen, Jack.
No, I 100% agree with everything you've said there, but maybe on to Dark Sun G's point. He says, keep Richie, but get competition for him. I'm 100% with that. And then he says, no more Sonny at striker. I think that's what I sort of meant. I think we've kind of shown to be more or less right about, yes, certain games, Sonny can be effective, right, as a striker, but it's not going to be most of or the majority of them. And then even in some of these games where it did suit him, once he gets kind of shoved off the ball and once, certain players do end up kind of forcing him to have to play with his back to goal, kind of starts to become a bit of a shadow of himself, really. And he doesn't end up being the player that we know he can be. And Richarlison can be effective dealing with the physical side of things, dealing with his back to goal. The ball just sticks with him, a bit more than it does with other players when it's fired into him, when he's asked to hold up the play and bring others into it. He doesn't do anything glamorous, doesn't do anything spectacular, but the ball does stick to him more than any other player, I think, this season, whoever has really played up front, really. And I think Sonny needs competition as well next season. Dark Senji, I think he still will be a starter for me, but we need another top winger that can contribute the goals and can help, the guy out, because even Richarlison and Sonny have been weirdly sort of without each other for a lot of the season. It has felt like one of them's been in the team while the other hasn't been. And one of them's been thriving while the other hasn't been. And it's been it's been hard.
And look, last thing I will say before we go down and get the boys' point of view on it is, when it comes to Richarlison, he works his absolute nuts off when he is available, and he does contribute to this team when he is available. And that can't be said for other players. Like, for instance, when he's had minutes even off the bench this season, he's at full pelt for however many minutes he's on the pitch. Other players don't do that when they come off the bench, and he is definitely one that buys in to the way that Postecoglou wants to play and what he wants to do. And look, I just don't think it's good to sell your two strikers once, 2 summers on the trot. I think it's a recipe for disaster. We're having conversations about, should we get rid of Son, which I completely disagree with as well. You're talking about taking your 3 main source of goals out of the club over the course of 2 summer transfer windows. I think it's absolute nonsense, and I think it's naive. And I just want to know why Spurs fans don't like scoring goals anymore or don't enjoy goals, because it seems like we want to sell them all. Anyway, down to you guys before I get myself in trouble. I just need to make the missus a quick cup of tea.
Soren?
No, I'll let Jose go first.
Okay.
I kind of disagree. I think that a forward is a priority this season anyway. And if the Saudis are prepared to pay the money that we paid for Richie, and they're prepared to pay that, I'd let Richie go and bring in another forward. So not just the one, I'd bring in two. I think if we look at the last game that we played against Liverpool, the problem was the front three. The front three were misfiring and they weren't holding the ball up and they weren't getting into positions, and there was an absolute disconnect with the front three against Liverpool for the first 60 odd minutes, 70 minutes. So for me, although we score goals, and we have scored a lot of goals this season, we do miss a lot of chances as well. And Richie's one of them. He scored, but he has missed a load as well. He's not the only one. It's the whole forward line of missed chances. But yeah, I think priority is to bring another centre forward in. And I kind of understand where Dave's coming from, and you, Jack, whereby you're saying that you'd bring in a forward to give competition for Richie, but Richie maybe drops down and that forward that we bring in gets priority. But I'm just thinking to myself, if that forward is already on a list, that's one of the prime positions that we're looking for, then if you're going to get that money for Richie, I would cash in on him and bring in another forward. So we're bringing in, so you replace like for like type thing, because as I said, for me, it's just the misfiring components that we've got up front. And Richie,
60 million is a lot of money, and if you had the opportunity to get close to your money back, it is tempting. What about you, Soren? I mean,
but then also, sorry, can I also say, just to finish off my point, is some of the players that are misfiring at the moment, with other players playing around them that probably understand the systems better, they could get better next season. So, you know, that's why I'm kind of torn with Richie. But the other thing I will say, Richie, for my liking, this season, lots of injuries. He's not been on the pitch enough for us this season. And that's another thing that I would look at. He's just not been on the pitch enough. And when he has been on the pitch, he's caused chaos, havoc, you know, but he's just not there often enough for my liking. Sorry, that was it. Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. Fair point to add there. Soren, I mean, I'm not sure if you wanted to make a separate point about this, but it is interesting what he's bringing up there with the Saudi rumors, how true they are or not. But given the opportunity to get almost all your money back, something close to it, would you take that opportunity, or are you kind of in Dave and I's camp, or you would like just to add someone else just to provide Richarlison competition, but that's it?
I'm kind of split. My worry is we already need a striker, so we've got to go out and buy a striker. If we get rid of Richie, then we've got to buy two strikers, which then have to fit into the system. So, you know, that they may not fit the system. I'd be more tempted to say I think Richie is the type of player Ange Postecoglou is looking for. He runs around, he closes down, and we look better with him in the team. I don't care what anybody says. We look better with him in the team. Now, whether that means he's good enough for what we want is a different matter. You know, I'm not saying he's the world beater striker that we need, but at the current situation, we look better with him in the team. For me, we keep him. We add another striker that's at the level we want. You know, whether it's a Santiago Jimenez or somebody like that. We've got to get another striker in, but we've got to get a striker that's different to Richie. We've got to get that kind of goal poacher type striker for me. Somebody who, and I know you'll laugh, but the Soldado type of striker, but one that scores goals when he gets a chance. But you know,
you give me nightmares, sorry.
Yeah, but that player that makes those little runs. I mean, I know we laugh at Soldado, but if you look when he came to us, he was making all those runs into the box and nobody ever passed to him. And when he did get a pass, he did score. But that's the type we want, that poacher type striker. Then we've got the poacher and we've got the Richie who's good with his head, who can hold it up, who's just going to chase down all the time. That's the type, you know, if we get rid of Richie, we've got to replace him with a striker that's ready, not another one that's coming up. if we get rid of Son, which I don't think we're going to do, we've got to replace him with that world-class type player, or, you know, starting immediately type player. It's too much. You know, we're looking now to get a player that can hopefully start in most positions. Well, if we've then got to start replacing good players for another player, that means you're looking at two sort of starting players for every position, and we're not going to do it.
Well, we have to. I mean, if we want to be able to compete, you know, in all four competitions, we want to be at the top of European game. That's where we have to get to.
But Dave, we can go out and buy one player for the positions now, but if we've got to replace two players, that's why.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I get you. I get you. Look, I just want to take a couple of comments here as well. Where are they? Where are my starred comments? Here they are. Tony Rodriguez says, keep Richie. What the F is wrong with this fan base? Always satisfied with bang average players and mediocrity. And Philly says, 2109 says, I hear that. I am tired of seeing talentless hacks kept because they work hard. Their employees' endeavor is the bare minimum. I saw work hard with no talent. It was called Sissoko. And look, I 100% agree with you guys. I'm absolutely fed up with seeing bang average players here as well that can barely do the basics. However, I think Richarlison is a bit better than bang average, to be brutally honest. And, you know, I'm not being smart here, but we sell Richarlison, we don't bring in two strikers next season. I'm sure you two will be the very ones in my chat next season going, typical Tottenham, we didn't do the business to bring in two strikers. It's come back to haunt us. So, you know, at some point you have to understand, in order to build a squad, there are going to be certain elements that you have to keep, bring in, and then shift on the following summer. You know, for me, I'm more worried about getting the likes of Sessignon. As much as I like Gill, I think he's a nice lad. He's got to go. You know, Davies, people like that who have been around here a long time and haven't contributed before we start shipping out some of the other players that we've brought in on the Paratici. And if I want to build a squad, I accept that Richarlison's going to be around here next season. But where I think you sort of misunderstand the point is, I'm not saying for him to be our main striker next season. I argued the case last summer when everyone wanted to sell Harry Kane for the money that Richarlison wasn't going to carry us to a league title or to a trophy, that we needed to go and replace him and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what I'm arguing for is to bring someone else in here to put him up front and have Richarlison hunted down his spot. You may never know. It might actually bring Richarlison to a new level. But if we want a squad to compete, there's going to have to be a small bit of give and take over this summer in certain positions. Richarlison, what is it, 11 goals, 3 or 4 assists? I mean, it's not a bad campaign considering the minutes that the guy has played across the campaign. Don't get me wrong. I take the point that everyone else makes about the guy. But I'm not going to sit here and say sell him and then sit here halfway during next season when our striker that we buy gets injured and we're sitting there with no striker having to repurpose Son again. It doesn't work out, and then sit here and berate the board for it because, you know, I'm not going to do that. I will berate the board for it if they do what I ask them to do. But if they don't, I mean, look, for me, I just think we have to be smart about this. You know, we want two strikers. We can't be naive. We're not going to go out and sign two strikers this summer. We're just not going to do it. So you're going to have to keep them around for one more season and bring someone else in. Hopefully, Tony and Philly, hopefully you understand my point. Like I said, I do understand the point you guys are making. And I think there's more positions, you know, another players that are here longer that needs to go first. And I think, you know, if we want to try and build a competitive squad next year, I think Richie will have to stay around and be a part of that and add to that. And that's where I'm at with it. Hopefully you guys understand that.
And the narrative, just quickly, the narrative that Richie misses chances, Ed Sweeting is saying, is perhaps not true because he's outperforming his XG this season. We know Sonny is, of course, you know, a complete outlier in this regard. He's outperformed his XG by 7 or 6 or something. But he's making the point that Richie is actually this season been more accurate than maybe some people would like to maybe admit.
Can I just ask you guys, right? I'm hearing what you're all saying, right? We played with a front three, yeah? And now we've got players that are injured and stuff like that and players that we don't think we're going to be at a club and that. Who have we got for the forward positions for next season then? If you're going to keep Sonny, Richie and Johnson, who else is in them forward 3 positions? Who's going to give them competition?
That's what
Solomon.
Players that we bring in over the transfer market.
No,
Solomon
will go.
Timo Werner's gone. Brian Hill's gone. Timo Werner's gone. Brian Hill's gone.
So
someone else might go.
Therefore, you need to bring at least 2 players for them forward positions. You're going to
This
have
is
to
what
bring
we're-
2 players in.
I
This
think
is
we've
what
been
we're
saying
saying,
that,
though.
yeah.
If you've got to bring those 2 or 3 players in already, and then you get rid of 2 or 3 players, that's 6 players you've got to bring in, and it's not going to happen. To me, what we've got to do is Richie is good enough to be the backup striker for us. We've got to get a starting striker in, and we get the starting striker in, Richie as a backup. If you get rid of Richie, you've got to get a starting centre forward and a backup centre forward that's good enough to start if he has to. And then you've got to, if you get rid of Son, you've got to get to at least 2 left players. If Kulu does go, which I don't think he will, then you've got to get at least another right-sided player. So you're getting into the numbers where it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, there is a lot of positions Tottenham either need to buy a starting player or a very good quality backup player. Now, if we start selling the ones that are what we class as first team players now, it puts a massive number of players to buy in, and we just aren't going to do that.
Yeah. I fully agree. And look, for me, you know, I'm just sick of being left short in one position or another. And I just want to be able to create a squad. And like you said, you know, you sell Richie and look to bring in 2 plus all the other business we have to do. You're talking about numbers that we're just not going to spend. You know, we're just not going to do it. So I completely agree with you there. And look, you know, I think Richarlison has contributed a lot more than what people say. And I think, you know, he'll probably do the same next season. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens over the course of this summer. Jack, I blame you for kicking off this argument, bringing up Richie. I'm only messing. Good discussion, though. I'm glad that one was put out there. Anyone, anything else to want to say on it before we move on?
I just think that there is far too much hate, and like we've already said, had Richie stayed fit, then I think this conversation wouldn't have been happening, because he would have kept scoring and he would have kept, you know, giving chances to us as well. I just think his injuries, like Jack and Jose have said, have just absolutely squandered the season that we really needed him to step up. So to me, you keep him. You've got to keep him.
No, look, I completely agree. You know, like you said, and someone said in the chat there, we're going to be like, you know, with 4 competitions next year, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for people to play. But guys, maybe another sort of rumor that was put out there during the week. Again, an interesting one. I just want to see where people are at with this. But many Spurs fans are not happy with Tottenham's alternative choices to Udogie and Porro at fullback. And it's rumored Tottenham are considering re-signing Southampton defender Kyle Walker-Peters 4 years after selling him. Now, he is homegrown. He is club trained. But is he better suited as cover to Porro or Udogie than Emerson and Davies? Or even if he is, should we still be looking elsewhere in the market? We'll start with you, Jose.
We're going to be linked with 1 million players, probably about 10 to 15 players per day. And he's just another link in the chain of players that we're going to be linked with. I'm sure that the fullback positions is a priority position for Langa and the team in the background, and I'm sure that they've identified players that we've probably even not heard of in the rumour mill at the moment. Walker-Peters, is he a better option playing that position than what we've got at the moment? I think he is, but does he take you to that next level? I'm kind of sitting on the fence with that. But I think the players that we're being linked with, as I said, we're going to be linked with so many different players, and I just think there's players that we have not even heard of that we're probably looking at, and we've not been linked with yet. A la when we got Vicario in, who said we had no links with Vicario, and we brought Vicario in. Udogie, no links. All of a sudden, it came out we're going for Udogie. So I think in the background there's going to be players that haven't even risen to our attention yet that they're going to be looking at. I just think Walker-Peters is just, again, it's all journos, tier 7s and 8s, all trying to get their names out there, and people will just be, be thrown at us type thing.
Do you know, I actually hear you on that, because it is something that I've tried to say with Paratici, that, he does this a lot. He uses the media to put smoke screens everywhere and have them chasing certain leads and everyone else. And then all of a sudden a deal comes in that we weren't expecting. Bissouma, prime's example. They used Eriksen's situation to get the Bissouma deal done undercover. And then we ended up bringing him in here. So I definitely understand what you're saying there, Jose. I mean, Soren, Kyle Walker-Peters, should we be returning to a player that we already deemed wasn't good enough?
I think the answer is yes and no. Very much like what Jose just said, we're going to be linked to so many players, and the fact that we're already being linked to him probably tells me we're not signing him. Look, as a backup, it's not the worst idea in the world, but is he enough of an improvement? That's the thing. To me, no. I think there are better players out there, and I think we'll see a lot of players coming in that we didn't see. We just didn't see those names, or we don't know who they are. Probably some Italian players and things like that. But I mean, yeah, we've certainly got to get a left back, right back. I mean, there's a lot of sort of arguments about keeping Reguilon next season for a backup to Udogie. Well, it'd be interesting to see him play the system, because I don't think he's a bad player. I think it's his attitude that stinks the most. But whether we will or whether we won't, I don't know. I mean, if we don't, it's another player we've got to get rid of or put out on loan again. So I don't see Kyle Walker-Peters coming back, but it's not the end of the world if he does. That's the way I would look at it.
Jack, where are you at with the links to Kyle Walker-Peters? Look, do you think, he did come through on the right-hand side of Tottenham? Now, look, I know people can say he can play left, which, look, I'd rather one for each position. That's a specialist each position. Jack, is Kyle Walker-Peters, will he be a better alternative to what we currently have with Emerson?
I think stylistically he might be slightly better than Emerson when it comes to, in possession. I just don't want to entertain it. But I also feel like people are being slightly disrespectful to Kyle Walker-Peters. I think he has shown to be a okay, high standard sort of maybe lower Premier League, higher championship level player. And there's no disrespect towards that. I think that, especially considering he is one of our own. But what I would say, Dave, is if we were like Crystal Palace or something and Ange was like the manager of Crystal Palace, that would make a lot of sense as a signing. It, as someone that could come in, challenge for the first team, but also would be maybe not a guaranteed starter, can play on the left, can play on the right, because he can play that inverted role on both sides. He did it for Hasenhüttl actually quite well for, different stages. But I just, I think for real quality, for actually challenging Pedro Porro, for actually filling in what Destiny Udogie brings, I just think he would do it in kind of a more average kind of manner. And that's no disrespect towards him. He suits the style, but he's not the top quality that we really need. If we were like a Crystal Palace, I actually think that would be a clever signing if Ange was the manager of them, but he's not. It's Spurs.
Look, I think it definitely ticks a lot of box. Player trained by the club, that'll help in your European registration, Premier League registration, homegrown, all that sort of good stuff. But I sort of agree with you, Jack. I don't think he's at the level for Tottenham Hotspur. I think we already deemed he wasn't good enough. Look, he's performed well at the Championship, but he's already had his chance at Tottenham and he didn't take it. And for me, I don't want us to revisit this, to be brutally honest. If you're going to go and bring a Kyle Walker-Peters in here, I'd rather than bring up a Kieran Menton or someone like that, and give them an opportunity, so to speak, rather than a Kyle Walker-Peters. So for me, I just think it'd be a waste of money. I think it's a box-ticking exercise. And he's never going to displace Porro. He's never going to displace Udogie. When you have to rely on him, it is going to be a drop-off in quality in terms of defensively and going forward. And for me, that's just adding to the problem at Tottenham Hotspur. So for me, I'd like us to see us to go after these positions with a bit more intent, and identify players that could possibly displace them, given a couple of good weeks of training and stuff like that. Players that are hungry.
The question is, Dave, do we think Udogie and Porro are good enough to be first team players? Or because to me, Udogie is the future on the left. So I kind of, dismissed the fact that we've got to find somebody who's going to be a first team starter there. We've got to get somebody who's a good enough replacement for Udogie. Porro, I think there are little bits of weaknesses with Porro that if you could get that very good right-sided player, then yes, you get them as a first team. But again, to me, I think the right back and the left back, it's more about finding players that are good enough to play, but not necessarily first team starters in those two positions. I think the back four or the back five, as they are, they're the only positions in the pitch that we don't necessarily need first team players, but we need players that are good enough to play first team.
Yeah, look, I think effectively that's what I'm saying. What I don't want is to bring in a player that, look, if we bring in a young enough player who has the potential and we develop him to become that guy, but what I don't want is just to bring in a player that is just going to warm the bench, and because all it does is give people no faith when you roll them out in cup games or to give other players a rest and stuff like that. I genuinely want players challenging each other for their positions, and I just think that's where we need to get to if we want to have that competitive edge and stop seeing our season sliding off the way they do. Stop being embarrassed in early round of cup games like we are. We need players that are hungry and that want to chase down a first team spot. That's where I think we're at with it. I just don't want to see any more where it's such a drop off in quality. You have to it's almost that bad that people ask the manager to change his system to suit them. I don't want to see that anymore. Like you, I guess we're sort of on the same ballpark. I think we just want to see players that can come in and play that system rather than, it being such a drop-off in quality. Big up, Nick. He says, are we talking about an improvement over Porro? No. Over Emerson Davies? Yeah, probably. Look, that's a fair point and a fair argument to make. I just want to see us attack the market with a bit more gusto, to be brutally honest with you, Nick.
Can I just say that
for a guy that's already been deemed not good enough?
Can I just say with Carl Walker Peters, I'm not talking about now. I'm going to talk about 4 years ago, all right? I thought he got a raw deal 4 years ago because he was up and coming. He didn't get given a chance because he had Walker, the actual Carl Walker there, and you had Trippier there in front of him. He weren't going to get a chance in front of them, so he looked for football elsewhere, and we sold him to Southampton. In the meantime, we sold him to Southampton, and then we got rid of the two players that that he couldn't get in front of, and then we ended up buying mediocre. What was the fella from Ivory Coast that we had, the nutcase from PSG?
Oh, Aurier and Doherty.
So in the end, I just think it didn't work out for him. He left because of whatever reasons. Has he improved as a player? And that I don't know because I don't follow Southampton that much. But when he was at Tottenham, had the pathway been there, who says that he wouldn't have become a good player back then? I'm talking 4 years ago. I'm not talking now.
No, look, I hear what you're saying, but I do remember Kyle Walker, Peter, getting a couple of opportunities and he couldn't defend. And that was his biggest problem, he shipped goals. And unfortunately, when you're a player coming through like that, and it's the same with most players, you got to take your substitute opportunities. You got to take them. And I know it sounds cruel and it sounds mean, but at top level of football, with the money we're talking about, with the fine margins we're talking about, we don't have time to sit there and wait for them and stuff like that. You have to take your opportunity, and he didn't. He did not take his opportunity. The opportunity was there. And case in point, when Tottenham went and played Southampton under Jose Mourinho, slapped them 5-0, and we targeted him for nearly every single one of our goals. He couldn't defend, and I think that was the biggest problem. And he just didn't take the opportunity. So I hear what you're saying. It was always going to be a tough ask for Kyle Walker, Trippier, the standards that people probably had on that position. I do hear what you're saying. But look, I've said this time and time again, you got to take your opportunities. You're not going to be afforded, in a nice word, yes, you are. But in top level, rootless football, fine margins, big money, you're not going to be afforded too many more.
Yeah, I'm not saying to bring him back. I'm not saying bring him back. I'm just going back 4 years and to say what had happened to him when he was at the club when he left. I'm not saying by no way, shape or form am I agreeing for him we should be going for him. I've actually said for some of these people in the chat that are throwing pelters, not at me, but just making their comments, I turned around and said quite clearly that he's not the answer. We will be looking at players that we've not even heard of at the moment, have not been talked about, because that's the way we seem to operate now.
No, look, fair play, fair point. Everyone's entitled to their points of views. Let's not all argue today. We should be expecting a nice big win, so hopefully we can enjoy it together. But guys, I suppose while we're on the subject, the fullbacks, I mean, Emerson suffered that horrible afternoon at Anfield, directly at fault for 2 goals, 2 of Liverpool's 4 goals. Many fans are calling for Postecoglou to make an alteration at left back, with Referral potentially coming in at centre back, moving Van de Ven out there. Or I've even heard Skip's name being mentioned as an alternative. So I guess who do we want to see at fullback today? We'll start with you on this one, Soren.
You know what? I honestly don't know. I mean, do you risk bring? I suppose it's the match that you do maybe make give somebody a chance. To me, you could almost kind of put Van de Ven left now and bring Referral in, because it's a game we should be winning against Liverpool, against the Arsenal and teams like that. It's not the games that you take the risk. Today, we should be able to cope with Van de Ven on the left. Do you bring Skippy in on the left? Look, no, not for me. As much as I don't want to see him there, I'd rather have Royal on the left again, because at least he's played that position a few times now. Bringing a player in that just, if he's only been training this week to play left back, suppose, yeah, you can take the risk, but no. We've got to get away from doing that. We've got a player that can play left, and I know I've said last game not to play him left, but today's a different game, and I would put Van de Ven left and Dragusin in the centre, personally.
Okay. Jack, I mean, where are you at with the fullback position, lad?
I'd go with whoever it was on the fan show. Was it Sean? Someone said Pedro Porro, you could maybe move out to the left. Yes, he would be perhaps a bit of a liability defensively, but it is Burnley. Maybe you can take a slight risk, of that against a team like them. But what Emerson was struggling with was he wasn't really doing much of either. He wasn't really defending very well or really doing very much in possession that was exactly helping us. He's probably more hurting us in possession. And I think if he plays right back, there's a better chance of him doing one or the other, better. He could be better defensively, hopefully, or he could be as well, maybe slightly better in possession. He's been really having a torrid time of recent, I think, playing on the left back position. I'm considering maybe because Porro is just so much better in possession than someone like Emerson is, he could make that adjustment for some of the angles being more awkward, sometimes having to come back inside, having to use his left foot. So I'd throw Emerson on the right, Porro on the left, and then stick with the same of Mickey Van de Ven and Romero.
Has Porro ever played on the left?
Not sure if he has, but I think it was the same case for Emerson Royale. So I think this would be the first time we get to see it.
Look, I'm signing up for the lobotomy Wembley one, to be brutally honest here, because he says after last Sunday, anybody still wants Real in the side needs a lobotomy. Seriously, look, I get Skip came on and had a few good minutes, and fair play to the guy. I question how much of that Liverpool already had the game in the bag and sort of tailed off towards the end of the game. I wonder how much of that comes into play. Look, Emerson could not deal with the quality. Liverpool quadrupled up on him. They had Harvey Elliott, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and they also had Mo Salah down that side. And I know Emerson gets a lot of blame for that game. To a large degree, he should. The first goal, he took a gamble. Instead of, he didn't know where Mo Salah was, and he took a gamble to keep the line. If you don't know where your player is, number one rule, you follow him. You stick with him. He didn't do that. And then the third goal as well, he went to turn out. He actually done well in terms of defensively getting back and winning the ball, but turned out and thought he had all day long and just got picked off. But that's not all on Emerson, the fact that he was quadrupled. At times, he'd go to Mo Salah, Trent would be free as a bird. He'd go to Trent Alexander-Arnold, Salah would move in behind him. Why was no one asking where Brennan Johnson was tracking back? I mean, Sancho done it for Dortmund during the week up against Mbappe. Why was no one asking the question where Brennan Johnson was tracking back and helping them down that side? There's no excuse. When Kulu plays, he tracks back and helps down with Porro a lot of the time on that side. So, to a large degree, I think Brennan Johnson also has to take responsibility for advocating duties in terms of defensively in that regard. A lot of people saying, look, why did he pick Emerson? I mean, well, Emerson's the only other natural fullback we have at this football club. He had to pick him. I'm not picking centre midfielders to play left back. I'm not picking strikers to play centre midfield anymore. I'm just not doing it. Look, Emerson, he came up against quality. He got exposed. But today against Burnley, he should be more than able and more than adequate at left back to slot in there. But look, what it does do is it highlights we need more improvements in the summer in that degree. But, I would keep him in the side today, and that's my argument for it. I mean, look, feel free to fire back at me. I'll take it.
I think you're spot on there, Dave. I said this last time that the problem that we have for our left backs is when they're inverted and going forward, those wingers have got to help defend. And I said it last time. As much as I think Johnson is improving going forward, he's terrible at tracking back. And that's where you see us better with Kulu on the right, because he tracks back and he helps defend. So, he's helping Porro out. And that's where I think, if Sonny plays on the left, which obviously he's probably not going to now if Richie is out, then that puts Johnson back on the left, and there is no cover for whoever is on the left side. And that's the problem for us.
And look, that we need to get cover for the left-hand side this summer. Just quickly, Seva says he didn't have to play him at all. I mean, I disagree. I hear a lot of people saying he should have went to a back three. So we're asking a manager to go a complete different formation that we haven't played in, trained in, and everything else this summer. Second of all, he's the only other fit fullback we had at the club. The argument for Van de Ven to play out there might have happened if Dragoson's agent didn't open his mouth during the week. And Ange Postecoglou was right not to play Dragoson after his agent opened his mouth during the week, because he has to get a handle of, stop all this outside noise surrounding the club and everything else. He has to get a grip on that. So I'd argue he actually had, no choice. And you can thank Dragoson's agent for that, to be brutally honest. Otherwise, I think you might have actually seen Dragoson come in and Van de Ven out left, but his agent ruined that. But at the end of the day, he's the only other fit fullback we have at the squad. And he's not even a left back, he's a right back, but he's the only other fit fullback. So I question, who did you want him to play? And if you're asking for a change in formation, like I said, does it make sense to switch it up for something that we haven't trained in or prepared in, all season? Because you'll be the very person going, why did he do that? That's clueless. He hasn't changed. We haven't trained in and everything else. That's absolutely clueless to do. So I don't know what you want the guy to do. At the end of the day, I think the discussion is we need another left back over the summer to Edozie, and that's the end of it, to be brutally honest. Where else are we at now? Look, lots of fans have been having issues with Bissouma as a number 6 and think he should be replaced. If you agree, what has he been doing wrong, in your opinion, that a proper deep line midfielder in Ange's system would be doing? We'll start with you on this one, Jacko.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I thought I'd start with someone who maybe has more of a problem, maybe with Bissouma. Does anybody in the panel, feel like Bissouma is one of the major issues in the midfield and why things are going wrong? Because he has been, in my opinion, a bit of a common sort of scapegoat, or a common sort of player that people seem to, lay the blame towards for why things in the midfield are going wrong. Does anybody hold that sort of, kind of their frustration with Bissouma?
A little bit like you, that I think he's had some good games and not great games, obviously, and he's been criticised. But if you listen to Ange, I think it was yesterday or the day before, he said Bissouma had a great game. If he's happy with the way he's playing, then he plays him again. I think he's not been as good as we saw in those first 10 games for sure. But I do think he's starting to get better and get back to the Bissouma that we kind of saw at the beginning of the season. He's not there yet, but he's getting there. But again, we criticize individual players, but the whole team hasn't played great. And if one or two players don't play good, then the team kind of go out of sync, which then makes everybody look bad. That's the problem. So if you've got those players around him playing well, then Bissouma probably plays better as well. That's the only problem.
What about you, Jose? Do you have issues with Bissouma in the midfield? For me personally, I think Bissouma, there are things that he has been doing wrong where, he doesn't really switch play very often. I feel like his passing range could be improved on. There are moments when he has, really good options to switch it out wide to a winger that has tons of space, and he either doesn't see it or doesn't always back himself to play it. I'd say the same thing with Madison, to be fair. And then at times he has had these sort of lapses of concentration, this season that has cost us. But what are your thoughts, Jose?
It's a difficult one, right? Because Ange and the coaches get to see these players on the grass at Tottenham Hotspur Way training all week, and then they pick a team and they pick a midfield three, if you like, because we're talking about midfield now. So they pick a midfield three that they think is going to go and play and control the game and do what they want them to do. But it seems to be there's not been that many games this season. We've chopped and changed our midfield continuously. We've not had the same three players apart from the first 10 games of the season. After that, we've not had the same three midfielders play week in, week out. So, and it always seems to be that the midfielders or the midfield that we pick, we always have to change and ramp up in the second half, and we tend to get better performances out of our midfielders in the second half once we've made changes. So it's a really difficult one. I mean, people are going to turn around and say, yeah, it's Bissouma's fault, or it's Bentancur's fault, or it's Sarr's fault, or it's Højbjerg's fault. It's everybody's fault, but I've not seen three come in and really, really gel together. I've not seen three of them gel together, and it doesn't matter what three have been picked. So, yeah, it's a really difficult one. I can't blame one midfielder or another. It just seems to be that whatever the three are in the mix don't seem to do it. It's always we're always reliant on our substitutions to try and get us out of jail, so to speak.
Dave,
Now,
you started the question on Bissouma.
Sorry. It could be also. Is Bissouma one of the players that Ange refers, and we don't know this, is Bissouma one of the players that Ange refers to that they've not bought into 100% to what he's doing? Is Bentancur one of them players? Is it Sarr? Would it be Højbjerg? Who is it? We don't know. We can all have theories behind it. Postecoglou definitely knows who hasn't bought in yet and who won't end up buying in, or who's part way there and stuff like that. But it just seems we're always missing something in the midfield. The midfield three, whatever we pick, there's an ingredient missing in there.
I would argue the fact that Bissouma possibly is one of the players buying into it, because he plays Bissouma far more than most of the others. I know over the last couple of weeks he maybe hasn't, but Bissouma always seems to be his choice of midfielder if he's fit. But look, I mean, there is a player in there, and we all know that. And I think one thing we've got to remember is that at the beginning of the season, Ange turned around and said that he doesn't necessarily change the philosophy of how he plays. He changes the players within that to change the way he plays. And that's why we've seen so many different midfielders, I think. But, we've seen over the last couple of weeks where we've played a more kind of defensively three midfielders, and it hasn't worked. So to me, that's where we now need to see the change, maybe more attacking midfielders. Maddison hasn't been on form. Bissouma hasn't been on form. Bentancur hasn't been on form. The only player that you kind of think has played as well as we hoped or better is perhaps Sarr. And, he's had a couple of poor games now, but, he's the one that seems to have been the most consistent.
Look, when it comes to Bissouma, is he an ideal number 6? No, of course not. I think he lacks the sort of passing range that a good number 6 needs to have. Gives you a different option. I think with Bissouma, everything has to be nice and intricate through the middle and stuff like that. If we had someone with a better passing range, you'd be able to unleash the wingers a lot earlier and stuff like that. So I think he needs to either go and develop that or start trying it. Also, defensively this season, he's been caught laps a couple of times, sort of tracking back. which has come back to cost us a few games and stuff like that. So he's not the ideal number 6. But for me, I would like to see him in a number 8 role, in a bit more of a free role, where he can go and affect the game, get on the ball, dribble at opponents and stuff like that. Because when you look at what he was good at in pre-season and earlier on in the season, it was getting on the ball, dribbling at people, taking players out of the game, making things happen. And to a large degree over the course of this season, he's lost that completely. And I do think we have to go and sign another number 6 to come in here, but I would like to see Bissouma in that number 8 role with a little bit more freedom to a degree to go and affect the game and stuff like that. But look, I agree with you. Look, I don't think he's been as bad as everyone makes him out to be either. I still think there's a good player in there. I just think we're asking him to do a job that doesn't suit him.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you look at the way he played at the beginning of the season with him and Maddison, they were both very attacking. The first 10 games, it was hard to choose who was man of the match between Maddison and Bissouma. And, this is the Bissouma we've thought we'd signed, and Maddison's so fantastic. Both of them have dropped off, which you kind of look at it and think, well, is that connected? Is it connected because Bissouma's been asked to come back more to let, other players attack, and it doesn't suit his game? And, players like that, we all feel should be able to adapt and come back if they've got to. But he's not a number 6. He's definitely that more forward midfielder. And to me, I kind of feel as though he had a slightly freer role against Liverpool, and he did show a little bit more. And maybe today, yes, it's a lesser opposition, but give him his freedom. If Maddison isn't playing well, give Bissouma that freedom to go forward. And maybe we'll see that Bissouma of, that we wanted from before.
Well, look, it'd be interesting to see what Ange Postecoglou does with Bissouma in terms of going forward. Look, I actually think he'll be kept around. I think that's why he's persistent with him. I think he'll be kept around and in that midfield in some shape or form next season. But look, hopefully he can have a good game today. One thing I will say, guys, actually, is Moussa Dembele will actually be in attendance today at the Hotspur Stadium for this weekend's match versus Burnley. I mean, we'll all agree what a midfielder he was, right? And he will be the club's halftime guest today. Is Dembele someone that Bissouma should look to model his game off? He to dribble a ball, right? He takes it under pressure in a deeper position, likes to try and go forward with it a bit. Is Moussa Dembele someone he should be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, he possibly should be. I mean, the problem for us is that's why we bought Ndombele. He was the replacement type player, wasn't he? It's just a shame he didn't live up to that, because, had he had the drive of Moussa Dembele, had he had the footballing will to do it, I think he could have been a world beater, but it's just too lazy. But yeah, Bissouma maybe should look at that. But again, we're asking him maybe to be a player that doesn't really suit him. I think the thing with them, he was just good at a lot of things. But yeah, there would be no harm in trying to model yourself on a player like that, would there? Definitely not.
No, I definitely don't think so. Of course, he doesn't really have, I would argue maybe the physicality that Moussa Dembele has, and that was a huge asset to his game, right? He was sort of the immovable object, you could barely move him, move him off the ball, and he barely lost it. But I do think there's a lot that Moussa Dembele had to his game that Bissouma should definitely take a bit of inspiration off. I mean, Jack, you're nodding your head there.
Yeah, it was more kind of the physicality that you brought up that perhaps was slightly different. He had the benefit of being a lot taller, a lot lankier, more powerful in the way that he could carry the ball. I think Bissouma carries it with such sort of grace and has that just sort of flow to his game where he can just have such quick, lovely feet and take a pass to player. And I think Dembele sort of did as well, but it was something kind of different in the way that his sort of ball carrying style even was. It was slightly more, I think, done where once he did get past you, he could sort of seal you, made it impossible for you to actually, take the ball off of him. Whereas Bissouma doesn't really have the benefit of that. I don't think there's much he can really do other than just having even closer, tight control, even better body positioning. But he didn't have that sort of power like Dembele did when carrying the ball through midfield. He had sort of the same grace and kind of the same lovely feet and the same ability, but something, you know what I mean? Something slightly not as advantageous as maybe what Dembele had in terms of, the power that the guy. I would also say that maybe Dembele, it's hard to remember because I was a lot younger at the time. I was just a small Yank at the time. But Dembele, I felt like, had maybe more, I think, calm decision making and maybe didn't take as many risks. I know like we played maybe a slightly risk averse style at times, but maybe he picked and chose his moments better when to, go forward, when to maybe try to take a past a guy. I think Bissouma has been playing a lot better of recent, and I wouldn't criticize him as much as I would maybe earlier in the season. But, maybe he has a bit more of a, kind of better decision making sometimes, Dembele as well than Bissouma or does.
Jose, do you think Bissouma could take elements of Dembele's game?
I don't see comparisons, to be honest. Nowhere near. I don't see nowhere near comparisons. The brute strength of Dembele, and Dembele was assured when he carried the ball. He was assured. You weren't knocking him off the ball, and he knew what he was doing. The ball was so near him, and he made strides. I don't compare the two. For me, there's no comparison. Moussa Dembele was and is Moussa Dembele, and there's no one I've seen since come to the club that comes anywhere near him as a player. And I don't see similar traits. I don't see the similar traits from Bissouma. I don't see them from anyone. I just think Bissouma's a different player altogether. Yeah, no, I don't see it. I'm afraid that's but like Age says, football's seen through everybody's eyes differently. I'm sorry, chaps.
No, look, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Look, moving on, and Celso, Jose, you'd probably like this conversation. What fans want to see Celso play? It's very clear that Ange does not perform over virtually any other midfielder in the squad. Why do you think Ange doesn't believe in Celso? What went wrong? Because he was given the opportunity this season to a degree, Jose.
It's obviously going to be what happens on the training pitch. What he sees on the training pitch is what we don't see. To be honest, for half an hour, for the first 32 minutes of the Aston Villa game, I thought Lo Celso and Bentancur looked cream. Probably the best performance in midfield from our midfielders in the whole of the season for them 32 minutes until Cash decided to take out Bentancur. Thereafter, I think Lo Celso got injured not long after that. Shock. Lo Celso seems to be injured quite a lot. And I suppose it's what he sees on the training pitch. I mean, you've got players that football's becoming like rugby. You've got players that start your game, and then you've got your bench, which you empty to become your finishers for a game. And it just seems to be at the moment that the Celso is used as a finisher rather than a starter. What's telling though is that when he comes on, he's always the fifth substitution. And when he comes on, it's always in the last 5 minutes or so, or it seems to be. I don't want anyone to tell me I'm factually incorrect. I think it seems to be he comes on in the last 5 minutes of the game, and it's always the fifth substitution to be made. So obviously, it's something that he sees on the training pitch, and he picks the team accordingly. I really do hope that Maddison picks up. Maddison, we said this before on the last time I was on here. For me, Maddison, I know they've increased the squad to 26 for the Euros, so you've got 3 extra spaces. But even with increasing the squad to 26, Maddison's got to do well. If selected, he's got to do well in these last 3 games. Otherwise, I fear that Maddison's going to miss the plane. I don't care about him missing the plane because I want Maddison to do well for Tottenham Hotspur. But the fact that you're talking about Lo Celso now, and the fact that we're talking about Kulu and stuff like that, it's obvious Maddison's not been performing because we wouldn't be naming these 2 players to play in the 10 slot. So the other thing I'd say is I saw a lot of comments about people saying you've got to give people like Donnelly and people like that a chance as well. I think that what people fail to miss is that whilst Tottenham are in the under 21 quarterfinals on Sunday night, whilst they're still in that competition, Tottenham want to win that. And whilst they're in that, I can't see them dragging out any under 21s out and adding them to the squad for the first team matches. So therefore, you've got Mikey Moore will probably get another chance of getting on the subs bench because he's not in the under-21s at the moment. And Mikey Moore, totally different positions. You're asking me a totally different question, but I'd like to see Mikey Moore given some minutes. So if you're going to give the 5 minutes and you're going to make that 5th substitution, possibly give it to Mikey Moore.
Do you know, I'd love to see Mikey Moore get an opportunity today. He was, I think, the 3rd man or the extra man for the North London Derby, which is the guy that sort of is around just in case there's an injury or anything in the warm up. And he's been with the squad the last few weeks, and I think today would be an ideal opportunity to give the guy some minutes. But look, back to Celso. Ange did give him his opportunity this season, and I mean, Soren. Jose thinks it's to do with what maybe his application in training and stuff like that. Well, I mean, where do you think it went wrong for Lo Celso this season?
I don't know, because I mean, I do think he's a good player, but again, it's when he's fit. You know, it's the same as Richarlison, as we said earlier. It's when he's fit, and he's always fit at kind of the wrong times when we don't need him. I don't see a future at Tottenham for him. I'll be extremely surprised if he gets an extension. I think Ange has already made his mind up. We know Ange isn't keen on him because he would have been playing. He would have been subbed on earlier. You know, he'd be a first choice sub if not starting. So I kind of think the fact that we're still talking about Lo Celso and should he start? Look, I've said he should have started last game and blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think he should start now. And I don't think he should play. You know, what's the point? Because he doesn't seem as, he doesn't seem as though he's the future of Tottenham for Ange. So get rid of him. Just put Maddison back in, because the other thing that we seem to forget is, as bad as Maddison's been, we haven't played well since Maddison's been out of form. If you look at when Maddison's on form, we play better, we play well, and we haven't played well since his injury, since he got injured. So, you know, Maddison is a very important player in our central midfield if he's on form. We're not going to play Lo Celso, so let's, to me, just stop talking about it now. You know, it's over for the lad. If he was any part of the future, then Ange would have already played him. So that's the way I look at it.
Fair
it's
point.
A shame. It's a shame.
Look, that's where I'm at with it as well. Look, for me, I didn't think Lo Celso was going to offer us much this season. And unfortunately, when the opportunity was there, Maddison was injured. You know, I think he played a couple of games, done all right, actually. But then, you know, injured again and injury prone. And that's a large part of it, you know, his career in general at Tottenham. You know, he's always been injured. And, you know, when we haven't used him, and he hasn't done anything since we've loaned him out to come back and sort of show us anything different. So for me, I agree with you. I don't understand what a lot of the conversation is around. I see it all the time on Twitter and everything else about, oh, should we start Lo Celso and stuff like that. For me, I just don't understand that. I question what's he going to bring that he hasn't already had 4 or 5 years of opportunities to show and stuff like that. And look, what I will say is not all these managers can be wrong on the guy. So there's definitely something going on. I mean, Jack, anything you want to add to it?
Lo Celso, I wonder, maybe has done something in training, or maybe his injuries or something, like, must have rubbed Ange the wrong way, because at one stage it felt like Ange did have, like, didn't seem to prefer him, but he seemed to at least work with him, right? He used him in the second squad, used him as this alternative number 10 to Maddison, did bring him in, I think, with some substitute appearances kind of in the earlier part of the season. But then for some reason, something must have happened after that, either training or maybe his intentions of leaving. I'm not sure, but Ange clearly and him are just not on the same page. Whereas with Højbjerg, this is why I think, you know, something could be up between Lo Celso and him. Højbjerg, we know, wants to leave. And even Højbjerg still had some weird quotes, like over, you know, the international break, that I don't even think covered him in a lot of glory. And yet Ange still kept playing him and persisted with him. So that just shows that something with Lo Celso and him is just not right. And I'm not saying it's like dramatic or anything. It's just obviously they just aren't on the same page.
No, look, 100%. And hopefully we get rid of him this summer. He's one of the ones that has been around here a long time. That needs to go. Faz Radfar 31 Spurs says, so please stay behind. Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, so the in the nose, yeah, the ITKs, a few weeks ago, Dave, because I'm in your WhatsApp group, so I saw your comments. You were really, really enamoured to see that on X they were saying Lo Celso is going to be given a new contract. He's one of the players that's staying. And then other ITKs are saying, no, he's one of the ones that's going out the door. And this is what I mean about the nonsense that goes on social media with these people, tier 7s and 8s, all wanting to make a name for themselves and sensationalising stories. The truth of the matter is the team, the club already know what players that they would be willing to let go out the door. And I think for definite, 100%, he is one of them.
Yeah. Look, a lot of you're going to see contradicting stories on every player we're linked with over the course of this season. I would say the ones where they came out and said he was getting a new contract, from what I looked into, I don't think they're the most reputable sources. And it's sort of, when you look at it, it came out of the blue. No one's expecting it to happen. It doesn't look right. So, look, personally, I think they realise there's a Lo Celso fan base out there, and they put out a link to get the clicks and stuff off it, to be brutally honest, sucker some people in. But look, we've got Faz Radfar 3-1 Spurs. Please stay behind Ange this season, no matter what. Look, what I will say to Faz Radfar is he needs to win today. He has to win today. If we draw or lose, it's going to be a lot more noise around him, and a lot of people that are behind him probably turning on him. So I think today he's got to win, and he's got to do himself a favour in that regard. But look, I've said this time and time again, chopping and changing managers does not work at Tottenham Hotspur. We've already done that, and we haven't come out the other side of it, and we haven't looked any better. In fact, we're looking progressively worse. And all it's doing is delaying this painful rebuild that Pochettino said he needed all that time ago. So for me, look, I think we'd be wise to stick behind Ange Postecoglou. If not Postecoglou, who? That's what I would say. Who? Those who didn't want Postecoglou wanted Vincent Kompany or wanted Ten Hag when they were linked. And at the end of the day, they're similar. They don't change too much to a large degree. They stick to their sort of principles and their philosophies and stuff like that. And I just think chopping and changing at Tottenham, it's not working. We need to have a consistent plan. We need to back a philosophy and stuff like that, back a certain system. And then even if Ange, you back Ange and, he doesn't win you any cups or anything like that, you bring in the next attacking manager off the line rather than chopping and changing directions. It's a huge problem at Tottenham Hotspur, Faz Radfar, and that's why we go into every summer needing 8 to 9 players, because we're constantly chopping and changing directions. At some point, we have to sit there and, back a manager, give him what he needs, and then hopefully a bit into that tenure, we can start bringing in a bit more expensive signings, because you don't need that budget to stretch. You look at Arsenal, for instance, many of their fans were calling for Arteta out. Now they're sitting there talking about him being the best thing since sliced bread. They backed him, and look where he is. Same with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool when he first walked in and stuff like that. So, for me, I just think we need to back a project for sure. Big up Faz Radfar. We'll take this from Sava. He's who's upsetting everybody in the chat today. Says, much love, Dave. I will agree with you and disagree with you in equal measures. We will win today, and so we should. I'm watching City right now, like watching Spurs, but in blue. Look, Sava, you know me. I'm one of these. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. I ain't going to shoot anyone down for their opinion. Let's have a debate about it. What I will say is I didn't like when you said I back failure, because I don't. I constantly sit here talking about the need for a squad. I constantly sit here talking about the need for quality players. I constantly bemoan not winning trophies, and that's what I want Spurs to do. That's where I want to be. I may go about it in a different approach to you, but I don't back failure, and I do not like that. And I'm going to be honest, brutally honest with that, So on that one, we'll definitely agree to disagree. But look, I've had debates with you before. We agree on some things, we disagree on some things. It is what it is. At the end of the day, we're all out here giving our opinions, and we all want the same. Well, I hope we all want the same thing, which is Tottenham to be successful. We've all just got different ways of going about it. Look, the best thing is that Tottenham just win something, so that, we can actually have different discussions rather than how to try and win stuff. That's what I would say. Really appreciate the support. Look, with Man City, I believe they're 1-0 up right now. I mean, hopefully Fulham sort of don't come out fighting in the second half. I heard Don Robbie on that show with Expressions calling for all the London clubs to unite to take down Man City, because they got Fulham, us, and West Ham as well. So, we definitely don't want that to happen. Hopefully Man City can get the job done today, and then United can beat Arsenal tomorrow. But really appreciate the support, Sav. I really appreciate the super chat, my man. Really do. But look, let's stop arguing in the comments. You know, let's keep it to football only. Debate each other's football opinions, and let's leave it at that. And let's stop, you know, all this personal stuff, because it doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't get anyone anywhere. So let's just stick to football, and please. You know what I'm about. I don't deviate from anything but football. So let's stick to football. There. By the way, can someone update me on the old firm as well? I think Celtic are playing Rangers right now, so if someone could give me the update on that, that'd be absolutely brilliant as well. Because I think there's like a five goal difference between them, and there's Rangers are 3 points behind Celtic, but if they win today, they go level points with
2-1 up at halftime. Celtic,
come on,
with a red card for Rangers as well. It looks like
I'll have that. I'll settle for that for sure. But yeah, come on, Celtic. Hopefully they can get the job done up there.
So that they were 2-0 up, 35th and 38th minute. Rangers scored in the 40th, but Lundstrom has been sent off in the 45th minute.
Interesting. They're talking about Lundstrom leaving their Rangers this season as well, in that regard, because he hasn't had the best of campaigns. But come on, Celtic. Hopefully they can get over the line. But guys, the game and stuff like that today. So just maybe a nice sort of easy one to end off on. Who do you think is going to be Tottenham's player of the season? I know Mickey van der Ven won fans player of the season last night at that award ceremony. Who do you think is going to, or who should win player of the season this season? We'll start with you, Soren.
I'm just going to say one thing first about Sava. He's the kind of guy you want to punch his lights out, but he's the first person you'd want to go out for a pint with, isn't he? You know, he's the perfect person. That's I just love it. I think it's great when you see him in the chat and online. I think he's a good bloke. But player of the season, Vicario or Van der Ven, one of them two. I wouldn't be disappointed with either of them winning it. I mean, let's not forget Romero. I think he's had a very good season. The only reason we're kind of talking about Van der Ven more is because of those runs back to save us. You know, we forget a lot about what Romero does going forward and stuff like that. So I think probably one of those three. If either of those three players won it, I don't think you could argue against it.
Jose, who do you think should be player of the season? Do you agree with Soren's three players there?
You can only have one player of the season. You can't have three.
Say any one of those.
Okay, yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to, I can pick a load of players that I think could be up for it. But for me, I would go for Vicario. He's the person who's played every single game. I think Mickey van der Ven's done well, but Vicario's played every single game this season. And in games that we've won and in games that we've lost, we've won because of Vicario, and we've kept scores down because of Vicario in games that we've lost. So for me, I think Vicario's had an absolutely fantastic first season. So my personal opinion would be Vicario.
Okay, people, let me know your thoughts on Vicario in the chat there. Jack, who would be your player of the season today?
I think it's a very split between Van der Ven and Romero, but Romero gets the edge for me for a few reasons. I think he is shown to be likely the best leader of the leaders that we do have, whether you like them or not. I think he does show that he has more leadership qualities that I think most people align with. You know, whatever Roy Keane or, you know, sort of crazy type, you know, inspired leader type captain that a lot of people seem to describe, I think Romero has more of that than really anybody else in the team. And that is a huge bonus to, I think, see, because we already know he's a brilliant player, but the fact that he has shown that he probably cares more than anybody else in this whole squad and this whole team, I think really was a huge point to show this season. In possession, easily our best of the defenders. Like, as much as I think Pedro Porro has a brilliant passing range and whatnot, consistently every single game, if you really do pay attention and key in on Romero, the passes he does make out of the back line to bypass the midfield, to break the lines, just when he's under pressure as well, rarely makes any mistake when it comes to it. He's been absolutely brilliant, in my opinion. And then also, Dave, had he not missed some of the chances recently, he probably would be our third top scorer really this season as well. Romero, he's been very good in the air, and he's been effective when we have needed somebody just to be somebody that cares, somebody that's just, you know what, I'll put it in myself. He's actually just been that guy for us this season as well. I understand the Van de Ven arguments. I just feel like he was out for a very long time. And I think Romero and him have been flawless, but they've both made mistakes. They both, you know, have had maybe lapses of concentration or maybe read the game wrong. I would say that they're both kind of equal on it, and that would make me give the edge to Romero for the extra reasons of just what he does in possession, leadership, and I think they probably had both amazing defensive seasons. I couldn't say one has had a better defensive season than the other, so I think the little extra things give it to Romero for me.
Do you know what? For me, I think Van de Ven, although there was a lot of sort of, I think a bit of backlash on social media about him winning the the supporters player of the year. A bit of backlash I was reading and stuff over the course of the night and stuff. So interesting there. I think he's definitely up for it. I think Pedro Porro's played the large majority of games this season. I think to a large degree he's done all right. Vicario probably in there along with Romero as well. And I would throw Sonny in there. Although I've had my problems with him up front, you know, he has doubled up this season. And in terms of goals and assists, he has sort of led the way. He has sort of dragged us to a large degree by hook or crook. And it was never going to be an easy task without Harry Kane. But look, when it comes to Son, I fear he probably won't win it based on he's had better seasons at Tottenham Hotspur, a lot more sort of consistent seasons. When it comes to Vicario, I think he probably would have been in it, but I think towards the, you know, back end of the campaign, I would say maybe his influence on games has probably tailed off a little bit. Not all 100% down to him, but I think some of the saves he was making earlier on the season and stuff has tailed off towards the end of the season. Pedro Porro, look, I think he's had a decent campaign. I think he's done better than what many people think he would at right back. But I think it has to be one of the two centre-backs. Ironically, even though we've conceded some amount of goals, you know, we would have conceded a lot more if it wasn't for Romero and Van de Ven. But I'm with Jack. I'm going to give mine to Romero. I think, don't get me wrong, I think Van de Ven has had a superb season. And I think Romero has to a large degree as well. I think not only in terms of defending, but on the ball. He had that one slip up against Chelsea, but since then we've seen they've allowed them to challenges to go uncarded and unpunished. So, I mean, they got that one wrong. So take that out of the equation. I think Romero has been superb this season. Do you know what? I absolutely loved him getting in Emerson's face there against Liverpool. You know, showing leadership, showing hunger, desire, the willingness to win, sick of losing and stuff like that. And for me, I think off the criticism that he got last year surrounding his commitment to Tottenham and the campaign he's put in this season, I think he deserves our player of the season. And I'd like to see him being rewarded with that. But guys, last one as well, goal of the season. We'll start with you on this one, Jack.
Jeez. Can I just have a controversial opinion here? I feel like we should have scored much better goals than we did. So many chances wasted, so many brilliant attacking moves that should have ended up in a goal that didn't, or times where we hit the post, it felt like, or it just went just wide, you know, when we missed the chance, when it just would have been an incredible goal. And we haven't taken enough shots from distance, I feel like, this season at all, where we could have had some real screamers. Might go for the Rom-Bomb just because he's been on my head, you know, this season, or just recently, the Burnley Rom-Bomb. I'm going to go for that one. There probably have been better. There probably were others that I liked maybe slightly more. Struggling to think of them at this moment in time. So I'm going to go for the Rom-Bomb because that one just automatically comes to my head. It does.
That was an absolute screamer. Of course, Pedro Porro against Burnley in the FA Cup as well was probably another candidate. Will we see one on the line today? Who knows? Soren, goal of the season for you, sir?
I'm going to give you a stupid answer now. Lucas Moura against Ajax in the semi-final. I cannot think of a great goal this season. Probably the Van de Ven one. I'm struggling to think of the best goal. Van de Ven. That's all I've got.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you know what? He caught that one well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Jose, who's your goal of the season?
I thought Porro's goal against Burnley in the FA Cup was a top goal. But I also am going to, and I know he gets hate, but I thought the set-up play, and the finishes for both Richarlison's goals against Everton were absolutely top draw. Top draw. I'd probably say maybe more. They were both equally as good, but I might side with the second one that he got.
Okay. Interesting. A bit of a left field there. I'm open to that.
But that's because of the play, not just because of the banging gut.
Yeah.
It's because of all the play, and he's curled it from the edge of the box, isn't he? And beaten Pickford for the second goal. So I'm thinking more of the team play.
This is the one I thought you were going to pick.
No, I never pick. I never pick myself. Shemtam will tell you. I never pick myself.
I'm only messing. Look, for me, goal of the season, I think there's only two. I think Van de Ven's was a great strike. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's a toss up between Pedro Porro and Romero. But you know what? I'm going to go with Romero's. I think it was totally unexpected. I didn't think he had it in him. And my God, what an absolute finish. And the way he caught it and the power he caught it with as well. I think it was absolutely sublime technique, a great goal. I think it was off the back of one of our corner kicks as well, which was,
he had to lift it over a ton of players, and he hit it like right outside the penalty area. So you really did you couldn't just, strike it, I think, with the top of your laces. If I'm wrong, I think, he hit it with more the side of his foot and kind of lifted it over the tons of players, because there's so many bodies in the way. And then he hits it in the upper V's. Whereas with Porro, you give him that time and you give him that space. Like, he is a guy that can do that. He is a guy that has that worldie in him. Whereas with Romero's, I think it took some special effort to be able to do that, really. Whereas Pedro Porro, he sort of punished them for giving him that time and space.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Jack. It's you've seen it a few times with Porro over his career, whereas with Van de Ven and Romero, it's kind of like you just didn't expect it from either of those. But I think it's poor on the season with all, thinking that we're now an attacking team, in a sense that we're still struggling to find a goal, other than an odd one or two.
Our defenders scored all our best goals this season.
Exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? It's, I mean, I suppose if you went back to those first 10 games, there was a couple where Maddison's done some nice trickery and things like that. And maybe, that, like Jose said, the team play. But yeah, I think because of all the sort of bad results we've had lately, thinking of a goal of the season there's nothing really, really, really jumps out.
I mean, apart from them three, you're picking more or less between a lot of the same goals, aren't you? Where it's, run down the left, ball across the box and stuff. And that's where I think we need to, get variety in here this summer to make us maybe not as predictable. But yeah, so look, that's our goals of the season. People have been giving our stares in the chat. It's more between the three that we've selected, Van de Ven, Porro and Romero. So it'll be interesting to see who gets that. We got this from Sava. First of all, you didn't need to do that, lad. You really didn't. But I really appreciate it. Really, really do appreciate it. You didn't need to do it. He says, don't take me so seriously. Everyone in the chat gets so wound up so easy. I may have different opinions and happy to be wrong, praying to be wrong one day, but get yourself some points. Look, I just think with where we are at the point in the season, A, everyone's becoming tired, and B, we're at a divisive point again in the season. Do you stick with Ange? Do you don't? Are the board going to back a manager? Are they not? Is this player good enough? Are they not? I think, and the fact that it's just tailed off again, come the business end of the season, again, we have nothing left to play for. And I said this, a few weeks ago, come May, it was excitement time for my dad. It was time to get out the bunting, the flags, get his jersey whitened and everything else. And now it's just, but where are we going on holiday? Season's done, and I'm fed up with it being at this point. But that's where a lot of the tension comes from. And it's hard not to take people seriously because we all just want Tottenham to win, to be brutally honest. And look, it is what it is. It is what it is. What I will say is you are a wind-up merchant, though. And, people are wind-up merchants back as well. So, look, it's just because tensions are so high and we're off the back of 4 drubbings that I think, everything's a bit amplified is what I would say, Sava. But look, like I said, you didn't need to, but I really do appreciate it, man. Really do. Oh.
The thing is, without people like Sava, it'd be a very boring chat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but look, that's it. Like, that's what I always say, opinions fine, football opinions fine. Anything else beyond that, I just walk away from because it's not for me. But let's have these discussions. I have no problem with it. I enjoy it. Anyway, sorry, Soren, go on.
That's what I was just saying. If we all had the same opinion, then it'd be a very boring chat. So the thing is, you look at it. It's a game. Some people take it far too seriously. Some people rely on the outcomes far too much. It's life. Unfortunately, we all chose to support a team that sends us to an early grave.
Yeah, I mean, look, my family, traditionally have good heads of hair and they don't really go grey up until they're about 60. But I think I'm going to buck that trend, and I think that's what this club is doing to me at this point. Big up, pal. Good to see you as well. Hopefully you are keeping well, my man. Well, look, guys, to be honest with you, I don't really have too much questions about what we want to see in the starting lineup because, quite frankly, I don't care. I just want to win the game, get the season over and done with and stuff like that. So if you want, feel free to give me your starting 11 that you want to see and your score prediction. We'll start with you, Soren.
Do you know what? I've given up predicting because I've got it wrong all season. I think I've only got it right once. So I'm going to go with, I think we'll concede. I don't see a clean sheet. So I'm going to go with the one I've gone with a lot this season, 3-1 again. I think it's going to be one of those games. What I'm kind of expecting is a game where we score 3 maybe, but we have a lot more chances and waste them. So I'm going to say an entertaining 3-1.
Oh, okay. Do you know, I've heard that scoreline a lot this week. Maybe it's God giving me a sign. Maybe I need to get down to the bookies, throw a couple of quid on it. Everyone's going with 3-1.
No, hang on. Richie's not playing, is he? Son's back up front. 2-1.
2-1. Interesting.
2-1. Yeah,
interesting.
2-1.
What I would say is hopefully Porro can find that bend-it like Beckham passing range because he was exceptional for unleashing Son in the first game against Burnley on the season of 5-2. So, hopefully he can find that passing range and that link up with Sonny. Jose, where are you at today, my man? What's your score prediction?
Well, for the team lineup, I'm with Soren and I'm with everybody else. There are a lot of, comments and there's lots of things that we all as fans say because we all watch football for our own eyes and we want this person playing left back, this person playing in midfield. We want this person to be wide left. We want this person to be down the centre. And the only person who's going to pick the team at the end of the day will be Ange, and he'll pick a team that he thinks is going to win. So I'm giving up picking a predicted lineup. I'm not going to bother because I'll drive myself insane.
Yeah.
So, but with the football side of it, I can't change from what I said in my predictions. Now that even though Richie's not playing, I can't change my predictions. And my prediction was for us to go all out today and win 4-0.
4-0. Look, I really do hope so. I'm with you. I want goals. I need something to, perp up my weekend, perp up my end of season. And, hopefully we can score them goals today. Clean sheet as well, Jose. I mean, I think 1 in 25 or 1 in 26.
Yeah, but Dave, I'm with you, and I didn't realise, but I'm with you because I love clean sheets. And at the end of the day, there's nothing better than to be. I'm not a boring 1-0 merchant. I'd like to win, but win with that clean sheet as well. Now I know that we've not been the best at keeping clean sheets, but I'm holding out. Well, today it's more my head and my heart. It's more my heart than my head telling me we just won a clean sheet today. So regardless, I can't change my prediction now. Even though I know Richie's out, I can't change my prediction. I'm going 4-0.
4-0. 4-0. Look, I really want a clean sheet as well, Jose. I mean, I'd love one. I love clean sheets. I'm sick of conceding goals. And what I would say is I wouldn't hold your breath, Jose, because I'm similar to you. Like I say, I want clean sheets, but we did concede against Luton. We did concede against Sheffield United. We did concede 2 against Burnley in the reverse fixture. So, my point being is we do concede goals against the bottom teams as well. We just score more. So,
but the difference I saw, though, Dave, sorry if I can say, when we conceded these goals against these other teams, I saw Ange on the touchline and he wasn't saying much. Recently, I've seen Ange react and Ange go absolutely radio rental, as we used to say. So therefore, I think to myself that he's really getting it. No more passes. He's getting into the players now and that. And I think the players will try their utmost to get a clean sheet because he's
I
now on
hope
their
so.
back. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So
Well, I mean, what, 13 goals across 4 games? I really want one today. Big up, Wreck That's Madness. Big up, Al, as well. Everybody, big up, Al, in the chat. Jose, what's going on over at El Tal Cockerel?
suppose it's the same as all other channels. Where there's only a few games left of the season now. Still running my predictions league, which is absolutely mental. It's grown. It just continues to grow. And I'm hoping, I'll take it into next season as well. So I'll be doing. I think I'm doing a watch along later on today. I think. I'm not sure. And there'll be a show next week. A few shows next week as well. But yeah, I'm just in the same boat as everybody else. I won't do a show just for the sake of it. There's got to be something in it to do it. So, but yeah, I am looking for new subscribers. I'm trying to get to my next milestone, which is 400. I think I was on 375 this morning.
Nice.
This YouTube malarkey is a bit of a weird one because I seem to lose subscribers on a weekly basis, but in clumps. So someone's told me that I don't know how they do it, but whatever YouTube is doing, I seem to lose it. Now it's either me being awfully bad or something's going on with YouTube. But either way, yeah, if people do want to subscribe to me, that's where I am.
Get over there and check him out, El Tal Cockerel. The link is here in the chat. Just click on it, get over there and smash that subscribe button. Also, big up Mark, new YouTube member. Really appreciate it, brother. And we've also got another Mark saying, welcome to the Mark Army, Mark. I mean, look, there's a lot of Marks in the membership. So welcome. You know, you're following the crew, which I like to see. Really appreciate the support though, Mark. Don't know why it's not clicking. Really appreciate the support, brother, and hopefully you enjoy some of the members only content that's put up there. And guys, if you have enjoyed today's show, feel free to grab memberships. Feel free to smash the like button if you deem it worthy. Jacko, what's your score prediction? And then I have one thing to plug before we end off.
I'm gonna go 2-1. With Richie being out, a lot less confident, and then also it sort of comes from the fact that I think Sonny, even if Sonny plays well down the middle, Brandon Johnson and Kulusevski were useless in the last game, and so they need to be a lot better. And if they can be, then I'd be a lot more hopeful. But if they play just as bad as they did last time, with all of the chances that they still had, it's not like they didn't have chances. So I'm going to say 2-1. We might struggle to get over the line on this one. Big letdown not having Richie.
Look, I think it's a huge letdown. I was expecting them to come back in the side and score a couple of goals today. However, I think Kulu's going to dunk on them today.
I think Sonny might have a great
It's
game.
the return of the Mac. Big Dejan, he's going to dunk on Burnley today. I can feel it. Do you know what? I'm with Jose. I'm going to go 4-0 just purely because I want to see goals. Look, reality's gone out the window today. We're playing Burnley. I just want to get back to winning ways. I want to see goals. I'm going to go 4-0. I have no basis. Our attack has been shite. We don't keep clean sheets. No basis off it whatsoever. I'm just going with what I want to see today rather than trying to make a bit of logic or a bit of sense to it. So hopefully that happens. As for starting lineup, I'm at the point I actually don't even care to this point. I just want the season to end. Ugly Fish with the super sticker. Really appreciate the support, my man. Let me just go in and see what it is.
He says, I'll be back. Looks like he'll be back for the watch long. Thank you, Ugly Fish. I'd appreciate the support. And anybody,
I'll be back.
Last opportunity for a huge win before we have to take a drubbing against Man City. So please, everybody, join us for what hopefully is good vibes during the watch along. We haven't been able to have them in some time. We try our best, of course, but we do need wins in order to sustain it. So let's grab a win. Feel free to join us for what would be a rare win in the last 4 or 5 games.
Big up, Ugly Fish, like Arnie Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. Really appreciate it, brother. See you back here for the watching. But lastly, guys, before we do go, and we have it pinned in the chat,
2-0 City.
Just quickly as well.
Phil Foden's just scored.
Nice. Come on, City. Delighted. Just quickly, Jason Bell says, with Richie out, we should start Romero up top. He's been our best attacker the past month, and we can give Dragosin a starter right centre-back. I don't think many people can actually disagree with Jason Bell. He's been at the heart of a lot of our chances. I mean, North London Derby could have had a hat trick. Chelsea, he could have had a couple. Liverpool, he could have had a couple as well. I mean, I don't disagree. Look, I've seen someone say, what about Dane Scarlett? Would you put him through the middle just to put Sonny off the left and stuff like that? But, you know, I mean, look, we do love repurposing players, Jason Bell. So, you know, why not make
This
it
is the
happen?
best one yet.
United put Rambam up front. Let's see what happens, Jacko.
Yeah, this is probably of all the times to repurpose a player, this might be my favorite one, actually. A bit of a Harry Kane passing range, you could say too, maybe Dave Romero. A little hold-up play, drops deep, shoves a guy over, you know, throws him to the side, then just plays a splitting through ball. You could see Romero doing that. And then also when things get kitchen sink time or, you know, really low block, you just see him climbing over defenders, you know, scraping and clawing. And he would be very effective, actually, in another life as a striker. But I think he just loves the tackle way too much, Jason Bell. He just seems to love, you know, being that center back on the ball, scanning, you know, looking for that eye-opening pass. But anytime the ball turns over, he's that guy that just loves to just absolutely wreck somebody. So I think, sadly, he's picked a different life.
Do you know what, though? I actually went back and watched his goal against Arsenal. And to be fair to him, what a finish. You know, it's easy to shank your lines. I've seen many strikers shank their lines or become nervous in that situation. And he doesn't, just picks the corner, strikes it smoothly, bottom corner. I'd argue he has the technical ability to be able to play that role as well. I mean, how many times have we seen him give the ball, run beyond the striker, and look for it over the top and stuff this season? I absolutely love the guy. Big up Jason Bell, but it's never going to happen. And you take him out of centre back, we're going to have even more troubles down that end. But
My
thank you
favorite
for
one, though, of all the
laugh.
times we've repurposed a player, this is my favorite one. Well done, Jason Bell. Well done.
Thank you for the laugh, my man. I really appreciate it. But guys, pinned in the chat is a link to a platform called TIFO. I think it's pinned in the chat. If not, Jack's going to put it in the chat anyway. So we basically a platform called TIFO, who are basically a platform set up for watch-alongs. They've reached out for us to do a couple of watch-alongs on their platform just to see how it goes. And basically, we're going to do a hate along for the Arsenal game against Man United tomorrow. It's absolutely free for you guys to sign up. Also, there's a feature over there that you don't have over here on YouTube where you can actually come on at halftime and share your opinions and your voices with myself and Jack. Sometimes you don't agree, like when we speak about Brennan Johnson at halftime. Well, you guys no longer have to sit there and listen to us. You can actually come on and have your say about it. So, you know, get over there, sign up for the hate along tomorrow over at TIFO. Very simple. You just click on the link, it brings you in, give your username, your email, and then there's also a code there, referral code called FLATCAP. And basically, we are trying to get as many people over as we can to just sort of trial run it and see if the experience is any better for you guys, because we really enjoy the watch-alongs. We know that you guys too, and we're just trying to find a way of making it basically a lot more interactive for all of you guys out there, so we can interact a lot more and stuff. So we want to trial run it. If you guys could get over there, get them accounts and join us tomorrow for that watch along, that would be ideal. A couple of other little features they have. Sometimes when you guys have a chat with each other in the chat, it can get lost, right? But what this does, it actually brings you to a separate chat where you have that and you have the main chat as well, so you can keep chatting and basically you can get to know each other a lot more as well. If you want to flirt with each other, be my guest. And then also, you know, there's gifts there as well. So, you know, if you don't want to type and you're lazy like me, you can just send out a GIF and people get what you mean. So plenty there for everybody. If you could get over and show your boys some support, that would be absolutely awesome. Jack, I think I've covered it all. Are you anything else to say on it?
No, you covered it very well, Dave. Everybody just be doing us a massive favor. It is a platform that we are going to be moving to over the summer with all the really cool games that will be happening with the big competitions that are going to be going on after the Premier League. That's where Dave and I will be, and we really appreciate your support over there. And we think it's actually a platform that will be better than even YouTube when it comes to the watch-alongs as well, because of all the things that make your experience as a viewer much better. So Dave and I really believe in it. So please, everybody, if you would like to, head on over, click that link, subscribe, start a username, email, set the whole account up, and then join us Sunday. If you're going to be watching the Man United Arsenal game at home or on the go, join us just like usual. It'll be a regular watch along and we'll have tons of fun.
And your feedback, we want your feedback as well, you know, on it, sort of how easy it is to use and all that sort of jazz. So make sure you give us that. But look, we are going to end off here. I want to say a massive thank you to Moondog, Brian Dempsey, Chang, Mr. Kaufman, Dark Sung G, Paddy Higgins, Faz Radfar, Sava, Ugly Fish, and Jason Bell. Thank you very much for going above and beyond with the support today. Really appreciate it. Everyone, thank you very much for giving up your time, listening to what we have to say. You're liking, subscribing, and, you know, back and forth with us on the chat. Really do appreciate that. It would be absolutely nothing without you guys. Lastly, a massive thank you to Jose and to Soren for once again giving up their afternoon/morning to come on here and have a good conversation with us. So, guys, massive respect to these two down below. Give them a lot of praise in the chat. And lastly, we'll see you back here for the watch along starting at 2:30. Be here or be square. Come on, you Spurs. Oh, no, sorry. Be there or be square. Come on, you Spurs.
Come
In the
on, you
mighty hands, we
Spurs.
trust. We
Come on, you
never
Spurs.
stop.
Thank you,
Come on,
everyone.
you Spurs. See everyone.